Are we on? Are we rolling? I was like, oh, you know, we're gonna start early today. Yeah, I was like, oh, we're gonna start early today. I'm gonna get started at 8. So that way we're all done by like, I don't know, 9, 10. It's gonna be a simple, straightforward night. No issues whatsoever. And then I had a fucking idea. I had a last minute idea. And I was like, you know what? Let's try it. Let's see if it works. It might work. We need to get some of these legendaries on my party. So, yeah, that's why we're starting like 40 minutes later than I wanted to. It did work, and we're gonna mess around with it in a little bit, assuming it does work. But I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work, because I've never done this before. And like, it worked immediately, but it was having issues. It was having issues. So today, we're shiny hunting. We're back shiny hunting. Last time, we were hunting stuff. Scyther, I remember us doing Scyther, and I know we did 2 other things. Today, well, like 2 or 3 streams ago, we were hunting Poliwag. Poliwhirl? I think it was Poliwag. And I just couldn't find any Poliwag. No matter how high, how low, where we looked, where we didn't look, I just could not find a single Poliwag. No matter how hard I searched. A shiny one. And then at the last second we found one. So today we're coming back. We're shiny hunting Poliwag. But the difference is we're doing the murder method. So we're going to set up the outbreak at 60. And then instead of like looking for the differences, we're just going to kill them all. We're going to kill the remaining 40. If we find it in that, if like our Duraludon refuses to attack anything, then we'll try to catch it. Hopefully it's a shiny. If we go through the 40 and don't find anything, we reset back to the 60 and try again. Until all we need is 3. We have 1, we need 4 total. We already have 1, so we just need to find 3. Hopefully that doesn't take too long. I don't know. I suspect the stream's going to take like 2.5 hours. And we spent an hour a few weeks ago just hunting a single Applin. So anything's possible. This could take the full few hours. This could take who knows how long. But the other thing is, if we do Poliwag, a new event just started. Just got added to the game. That was, it adds Growlithe, Wiglet, and a third one. There's a third one in there. So there's a new shiny event, because I've been working on this one for like a month now, and they haven't done anything since like the end of February. So now here we are in May, and they're finally doing a new shiny event. And yeah, it's Growlithe, Wiglet, and something else. And the hope, and maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll finally update the game, take us online, see what we can find. And if it all works out, it all works out. If not, we'll figure it out. For the show tonight, we have, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, I have 7 in my notes. I'm admittedly probably not going to talk about the Borderlands stream because I didn't watch it. I wrote it down. I was like, oh yeah, I'll watch the Borderlands stream. Sure. It was a state of play, technically. And then I just didn't watch it, but I still have it in my notes. So probably, let's say 6 stories. And then we got WIBE. A lot of food stuff this week. I tried, you know, McDonald's has their new McCrispy chicken tenders for their snack wraps. And there's a few other things. I played a single video game There was the one thing we didn't talk about last week that I couldn't remember what it was. I thought it was an anime, Game Changer. I was going to talk about Game Changer last week, and I just completely forgot. So we didn't talk about Game Changer last week. We're going to talk about Game Changer this week. And finally, I did see the Thunderbolts. The new Marvel movie did come out. I have thoughts on it. Not the most like positive or negative thoughts, but I do have thoughts, that is for sure. We'll get to it. I don't know, it's now like the second or third highest rated Marvel movie of all time. And that was not what I was expecting. You know, for it being that highly rated, I was not expecting what I got. So we will talk about it. No, that's just a normal. I cannot tell. I legitimately cannot tell what is the shiny and the not shiny. Whatever. Alright. I guess let's do news. So, for news, we're going to talk about the Switch 2.20.0.0 update. The Switch, Nintendo said they were going to do a big Switch update at sometime in April. And on the 11th hour, on April 29th, they finally did do that update. And of course, I do want to talk about it because I've messed around with it a little bit. We're probably going to skip over Borderlands 4. There's a Silksong thing, which is, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it is definitely a Silksong thing. So we're going to talk about that. We have to talk about Xbox price increases because it is foreboding for the rest of the industry. I'll put it like that. Like, this could mean very many things, and none of them are good. I want to talk about Polygon and Giant Bomb real quick. GTA 6 got delayed. Obviously, it's the title of the stream, because that's kind of the biggest story. Even though I don't actually have that much to say on it, because, like, duh. And then, Chrono Trigger. The story that kind of also broke today, on top of GTA 6, was Chrono Trigger. It's seemingly false, but we'll talk about it anyways. Alright, so the Switch 2.0... I keep wanting to call it 2.0. It's 20.0 update. So this is, back in a Nintendo Direct, right before the Switch 2 revealed, Nintendo said, hey, guess what? We're going to be adding virtual game cards. And then the next week, they also said they're going to be adding Game Share. So that is something that will be coming to Switch before Switch 2. And they said it was going to come out before the end of April. 11th hour, not the final day they could have done it. Like, they could have done it 11:30 on the 30th. No, they did it on the 29th. They had virtual game cards. And oh boy, has this been complicated. There are so many issues, so many problems. I've seen, for some people, this is game breaking. Who was it? Was it Game Champ 3000? She said that she was considering not buying a Switch 2 because of how bad this game card stuff is. And yeah, I don't blame her at all. I get, especially given watching that whole like 30-minute video, given her and her wife's circumstances, I don't blame her at all. Like, yeah, I get that. So I guess let's start there. So virtual game cards, instead of in your Switch, all games are now virtual game cards. So instead of you putting a game card into the console, you now put a virtual game card into your system. It primarily works on your primary system, which we'll talk about my experience with that. And so you put it on your system, and it just allows you to play your game. So previously how it worked, as per my understanding, because there were things I didn't entirely understand about this, and things I have definitely gotten wrong, but basically how it works is that before you had your primary Switch. This was your main Switch, your main console. Any game you had on your primary Switch had the license. So that means you could play that game on your primary console. No worries. You didn't have to be connected to the internet. Now, any console that has your virtual game card on it, you can play it on. So let's say you have 2 Switches. Let's say on your main Switch, you have the game card for Tears of the Kingdom. Boom, you can play it on that. You don't need to be connected to the internet. No issues. But then you have a secondary Switch. Now, previously how it worked was that your secondary Switch, you could play any game on it, but you had to be connected to the internet. It would have to do like a quick internet check just to make sure, like, yes, you can play this game. And then you can go on and you can work on it. No problem whatsoever. It just kind of works. Like, yeah, you know, there were complications, there were problems, but, you know, it worked. Now, in theory, you could load up your virtual game card onto your second Switch, and it's like, okay, my second Switch has my game card for Pokemon. So now, if I just load up, you know, I'm not connected to the internet, as long as I have that virtual game card on there, I can play Pokemon with no issues. So, you know, in theory, it's getting rid of some of that, like, hassle, you know, that internet connection stuff. As long as you have a virtual game card loaded onto your console, there should be no problem. There are, of course, a couple of asterisks, a couple of complications. The big thing that I've noticed is that you can only have 2 Switches registered at a time. So, like, hypothetically, let's say you're, like, a father, and you have 2 kids, and each of your kids have a Switch, and you've got, you know, their profiles, and then your profiles on the Switch. We didn't find any. Oh, shit, I need to update the Switch. See, that's how it works. I did not update this one. I updated my other Switch because I was messing around with things on this one. I did not update this one. Huh. I will remember to do that. Ooh. This is going to be a long night. Alright, so how it works. So let's say you're a parent and your kids have Switches and you have your profiles on your kids' Switches. In theory, that would mean in the previous system, right, you have your main profile, you have all, you know, let's say you have your virtual game cards, you can play all your games. And then your kids also have your profiles. And in theory, before, you would just like, oh, let's say you want to hop on your, like, son's Switch, play, you know, Balatro, boom, game loads up. Sure, it has to be connected to the internet, but no issue. And then you, boom, you go to your daughter's Switch, oh, you boot it up, you know, play Mario Kart on your profile. It loads up, no issues whatsoever. Sure, it has to be connected to the internet, but it'll still work. So that's how it used to work. Okay, that one is shiny. That's how it used to work. Now, you can only register 2 Switches at a time using the virtual game card. So you could have your primary Switch, you could register your son's Switch, but you can't register your daughter's Switch as well. You could only do 2 of them, and if you want to change all, like, let's say you put, like, Balatro on your son's Switch, and then let's say you want to, you know, play Mario Kart on your daughter's Switch, you'd have to switch over who's the primary connector, which they have to be done in close proximity, and all the game cards from your son's Switch are removed from that Switch and put onto your daughter's Switch, because you can only have 2 consoles registered at once. I'm sure there's a way to get around it using online. I'm looking at the shiny that we just caught. I guess it's a little lighter. I barely can notice the... Oops. I can barely notice the difference. Yeah, it's a little lighter, but it's barely noticeable. So that's how... That's the problem with virtual... That's my biggest problem so far. Is that you can only have 2 consoles loaded at a time. That kind of sucks. There are other things... Okay, so in Game Champ's video... how she explained it. I did not know this was a feature. I want to be very clear. I had no idea this was a feature. But this was an officially supported Nintendo feature. I'm going to try to explain it properly. I'm probably going to get some things wrong, but I'm going to try my damnedest here. How I understand it, how it worked, was that basically, right, you're on your Switch, and you're playing, I'll use the examples I've been using. You're playing Tears of the Kingdom. Then, on your same account, if you own Pokémon Scarlet as well, you can go, your partner, your child, your spouse, can go on your account from your Switch and load up Pokemon Scarlet, and as long as you're not playing the same game, it should work fine. Or potentially you could play the same game and play with yourself online or with another profile online. I'm not entirely sure how this works. I have never used this before, but basically there was a feature on Nintendo Switch that allowed one person to own a game and two different profiles to play that game. That now with this new virtual game card thing, that doesn't work. So because of how Nintendo, in theory, let's say you bought all your games on one profile, but you're sharing them with your kids will no longer be able to play those games on their profiles, whereas previously they could. So technically this is making a product worse, because this was something Nintendo officially supported on their website previously. Again, go watch Game Champ 3000's video. I think it does a good job. It's a long video. It's 30 minutes, but she does properly explain this all and gives examples and everything. And, video proof that, hey, yes, this was something you could do. Even if you or I have never done it before, it was something you could do. Now, there are some complications, because now, let's say you both want to play Tears of the Kingdom. One of you could load the game onto their console with a game card, right, with the virtual game card, and then turn their system offline, boot up the game with the virtual game card, and then the other person could play the game and use a connected to internet thing, and you could still both play the game at the same time, but you can no longer use online settings, whereas previously you could. So there are still technically kind of workarounds, but if you want the full online experience, let's say you both are playing Pokemon Scarlet and you want to play online together, I guess previously you could have done that using one virtual game, but now under the virtual game card system you can't. So I see the problem. Yes, this is making a feature worse. Bad Nintendo. This is anti-consumer, but hey, guess what? Everything Nintendo's doing nowadays is anti-consumer. Because that is something I have not said up until this point. So even though, the old system was, hey, you had your primary Switch, and then as long as all your other systems, you just had to check to be online, you could still play any of your games, you can still do that. On your Switch, if you go into user settings, online license settings, and you turn that on, that allows you to just connect to the internet to still play your games. So if you want a worse version of the previous system, that is still there. And I think in theory you could turn that setting on and then put your virtual game cards on your console and not have to worry about it. But if you're on a second Switch or a third Switch, you don't have to worry about flipping through as long as you do the online connections. Or maybe the virtual game cards just don't do anything anymore. I'm not entirely sure how it all works. Again, this new system's 3 days old. We've only had a little bit of time to mess around with it, and I haven't even messed around with it on this system. Because I've only played once since then. Because I've literally not booted up this Switch since what? We touched it last... No, is that a lie? I feel like that's a lie. No, maybe I haven't touched it since last week. I know I touched with the other one because I played Mario on it, and we'll talk about it. There are other limitations as well. Like, if you want to, like, because one of the things they were talking about with this game card thing is that you'd be able to, like, share games. You can only share games with people in your friend group, only locally. And let's say you have a Switch and you've got, like, multiple profiles. If one of the profiles on your Switch belongs to someone in a different family group, you cannot share games with on your system. Doesn't, right? Like, if someone in your, you know, one, like, let's say you have 8 profiles. If one of those 8 profiles belongs to a different family group, that loses your ability to game share. You just straight up lose that ability. Not like, oh, well, you can only game share specific people to specific friends. No, just outright you lose the ability to game share. And that sucks. That really sucks. That, I don't know why. I see no reason why it should work like that. It really is just a lot of boneheaded moves from Nintendo, where I don't know why they did things the way they did. But clearly they did things the way they did. Another dumb part of this is it automatically updates your games when you install a game card. So, again, Game Champ 3000, the example she used was if you download the game card for Tears of the Kingdom, and you have the original 1.0 version of Tears of the Kingdom, like they do, like I do, if you download the game card, it'll update your game. Now, admittedly, yes, you can stop that upload from downloading if you catch it quick enough, but if you didn't know that was a thing, that could fuck you over. So I get the concern there. I get the worry. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. So yeah, that's a whole other thing. Other things with the game cards. DLC is part of the game cards. So, like, in theory, my own mother is playing Splatoon 3's DLC. She beat the main story. She's doing the side order DLC. If I had just waited a few more days, I could have just lent her a copy of the side order DLC. Instead, I bought her a copy of it. If I had just waited a few more days, I could have lent it to her and had no issues. So that's, I mean, it's cool that you can lend out DLC. I do like that. I don't know if that's a thing that works on any other system. Like, I don't know. But I think that's neat that it doesn't just lend out games, it lends out DLC as well. Netflix, Hulu, and Twitch are classified as virtual game cards now. Basically, everything's every software on Switch. The only one that I don't think is the Nintendo Switch Online apps. So, like, if you're playing NES, SNES games, I don't think those are virtual game cards, but basically everything else is. Yeah, I still, like, the 2 consoles thing I just find kind of weird, because, you know, I could see it being nice of being like, oh, well, this is my Switch that, let's say, like, oh, this is my Mario Kart Switch, and I have, I have my primary Switch, and then I have, like, a secondary Switch that I just play Mario Kart on, or I guess it'd be a third Switch. I don't know. I don't know that many people that have that many Switches. I mean, like, I have 2, but to be fair, the second one I'm lending out right now. But, like, let's say you did have, like, a third Switch, and you're like, oh, this is my Mario Kart Switch. I only play Mario Kart on it. You can't do anything with it because of the virtual game card thing. Because of those limits on virtual game cards, you can't do anything for it. So that's a whole issue that I'm like, whatever, I'm not going to mess with that. I don't know, it's weirdly restrictive. Like, I get where the good idea was, because I guess for people, like, some of these rules for online games can be confusing, But in a virtual game card system, people know how game cards work. You just pop it into the console. So doing a virtual version of that seems very simple, seems very straightforward. But I guess it's just confusing to people. So, virtual game card, that makes a lot more sense. But it's all these weird restrictions and limitations. We talk about WNDs, weird Nintendo decisions. This is the pinnacle of weird Nintendo decision. Like, they did not need to make this change, but they did it anyways. And while it has some neat features, it definitely has come at a cost. Even if I was never using the whole, you can play 2 games at the same time on different profiles with different people. Even if I was never using that setting, the fact that it was there was nice, and losing it does kind of suck. It's not a game killer for me the way it is for others, but I get the complication. Alright, other things in the 2.0 update. They added game share functionality. As far as I know, game share only works on Switch 2 to send backwards to Switch 1. So even though game share is there, you currently cannot use it because it works with Switch 2 back to Switch 1. So, like, even though we know, like, Clubhouse Games 51 is going to support it, currently it doesn't. Like, currently you can't do that. That's just, this is them preempting the Switch 2's release. And 33 days? It's right around the corner. They added system transfer to Nintendo Switch 2. This is interesting. I've never seen any other console do something like this. Honestly, I don't think many other consoles need to do something like this. But basically, Nintendo had the realization that, people are going to buy a Switch 2. But when they do, some of them are going to trade in their original Switch to get the upgrade. Which, I get it. In this economy, Switches cost Switch 2's $450. Trading in your current Switch to get a Switch 2 when the Switch 2 is fully backwards compatible and it saves, potentially like $200, maybe even like $250. I don't know how much GameStop's giving for a Switch, admittedly, but I get the idea. I get where, people are going to trade in their Switches to get a Switch 2. So basically, Nintendo's like, okay, if people are going to do that, let's give them the ability to back up their Switch so they can create a system transfer backup, store it on the cloud, and then when the Switch 2 comes out, you can trade in your Switch, no worries. And then instead of having to set up your Switch in the GameStop before you trade it in, everything's uploaded to the cloud, and then you can just download it off the cloud. So you can trade in your Switch without having to worry about the system backup, and then just download it off the cloud once the Switch 2 comes out. It's actually a really forward-facing idea that feels very much ahead of what Nintendo normally does. But it makes sense. I get why they're doing it. I do think they do predict a lot of people are going to be trading in their Switches to get new ones. And I don't blame them. I mean, again, basically everything the Switch can do, the Switch 2 can do. So yeah, I mean, sure, there's a few games you can't play, but those are small potatoes. I mean, I'm not going to be, but at this point, I have so many Switch games and whatnot. I regret trading in stuff when I was a kid. I get why I did it, but there are certain games where it's like, God, I wish I could play those games again. I wish and it's only the stuff you lose. The stuff I have, I don't want to play. It's the stuff I lost that I want to play again. And I think that's just right, because I lost it is why I want to play it again. I'm looking at you, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Looking at you, Mario Party 8, and, well, Skyward Sword until the HD remake. And I'm out of water. Alright, other things. They added a new icons for the news channel in the eShop. The news channel on Switch 2 is now green. Other than that, I still think it looks exactly the same. And then the eShop is now red. Now, what that also means is that when you load into the eShop, where previously the loading screen was orange, the loading screen is now red. The sidebar is now red. So that is a change they have made. You can also, previously on the eShop, you could go in and you could, like, go into your, like, your profile, and there'd be, like, a place where you could re-download games. You no longer have to go into the eShop to re-download games. You can just go into the virtual game cards. And in the virtual game cards, you can re-download games. Oh, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Oh. I don't know what it is, but oh, I've got something in my throat. I ate like, you know, I didn't even like, you know, normally when I stream, I like, it's like, oh yeah, I just ate like 30 minutes ago. Because, you know, working late and all that jazz. No, I ate like 4 or 5 hours ago. I don't know why I'm about to throw up. I had a cookie. Was it the cookie? Another change they made to the eShop. So if you've been on the eShop recently, it's been filled with like shovelware and AI slop. You know, just games nobody wants, nobody plays. Like the eShop is as bad as Steam when it comes to like AI slop, like game, not AI. Steam has a shovelware problem. Where people just download assets, make a game, and then throw it up. Asset flips are what they're called. That was the word I was looking for. The Switch has that same problem. They've got asset flips. They've got rip-out games. There's been a lot of games that use AI imagery recently. And of course, people are like, hey, Nintendo should have a policy against this. And while they don't, they did change how the algorithm works for the eShop. So that way, in like the best-selling games, you're no longer going to be seeing the AI slop. It's still there as far as I can tell, but you know, like you probably have to go to like recently released games and whatnot, games on sale. Whereas before, these AI slop rip-off games would just rise to the top of this trending charts. Now, from what I can tell, the trending charts are based off of like units sold or money made, not like. They've changed how it works. I'm not entirely sure how they've changed it. I just know they've changed how Switch games are calculated. So that's a good thing. You know, hopefully that prevents more of some of this AI bullshit from rising to the top. Multiple save data transfer? So can you do multiple save datas at once? Okay, I'm confused about that one. I didn't write down any notes on that. They changed some of the icons. So in the Switch, there are two places you can get icons. There's a bunch of default icons preloaded onto the console, and then there are the icons you can get from Nintendo Switch Online. They've changed it. They've changed some of the preloaded icons. Specifically, a lot of the Nintendo ones. So, the most obvious one is Donkey Kong. Before, Donkey Kong had, like, his Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze design. You know, the same design he's been rocking for, like, 30 years. Okay, it's not that long, but you know what I mean. Now, the new Donkey Kong icon uses the new design. You know, the design from Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World. Yeah, for some reason, Nintendo felt compelled to update the Donkey Kong icon. That's not the only one. They changed the Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Yoshi icons to reflect some of their newer designs. They're barely noticeable tweaks. You know, the eyes are a little bigger, smaller. You know, the shapes are more rounded. The outfit's a little different. Like, it's not full on like the Mario Wonder design, but they've definitely made some tweaks to it, that's for sure. The mushroom, fire flower, star, egg, question mark block, and green shell also got little minor tweaks. Nothing major, but they made little tweaks. And then the Pikmin, the red, yellow, and blue Pikmin, they still have the same poses, but they're now using the Pikmin 4 models instead of the Pikmin 3 mod. So like that, my little red Pikmin that you see up there for Goober, that's now no longer the Pikmin 3 design. It's the Pikmin 4 design. So it's a little, it's a little nicer. Honestly, I know some people don't like the new Donkey Kong design. I personally think it's fine, and I feel like some people are blowing this way out of proportion. I don't think this is that big of a deal, but whatever. And then finally, the final thing I had to say, the reason I didn't update this Switch is when this new 20.0 update came out, there was an error where Switches were not properly booting. They were getting a boot error that was causing the systems to crash and not properly load. As of like 6 hours ago, Nintendo has put out a new update, and they have already fixed it. So if you had heard like, hey, don't download the new 20.0 update, there's a bug, there's a crashing issue. As far as I know, Nintendo has fixed that. They have. I saw a thing earlier today. They put out a patch that has been fixed. At least they claim that's been fixed. I don't know if that's actually been fixed. I don't know what to do for people who have been affected by it. But if you had that issue, you can download. You can presumably safely download the new update. Presumably they have fixed that. They put out a patch. It's been like 3 days. So that's the 20.0 update. It's a lot of weird changes. It's not a lot of great changes. Not everything's great. Like there's some good things in there, but it's a monkey's paw. Every good, interesting thing they've done in this update, it comes with some sort of catch, some sort of asterisk, and I just don't know if it's worth it. I don't know. Did we really need these changes? Especially like on Switch. Like if they had done this specifically for Switch 2, I would have been like, oh, okay, whatever. It's a new console. They can change how things work. But after having the Switch for 8 years, presumably having this game sharing feature for all 8 years, and then them now taking that away with these new virtual cards, yeah, I see the problem. I definitely think they could have waited until Switch 2. And then I also wonder, how is this going to work with Switch 2? So like currently on you can have your primary console and your secondary console. Will the Switch 2 also take this into account? Can I only have a virtual game card loaded on the original Switch or the Switch 2? Or can I have one loaded on both because they're different consoles? I have no fucking idea. We don't know if you're gonna... Because, like, if I can, like, let's say, oh, I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 2 with the upgrade pass, and a friend and, like, someone else who's, like, borrowing my old Switch is playing Tears of the Kingdom on my old Switch with my normal copy. Can they do that? Or because I'm playing the upgraded version on Switch 2, does that lock them out? Because they're different consoles at the end of the day. Or is Nintendo basically considering them the same thing? I don't know. We don't know. That's definitely going to be an issue that will be addressed when the thing launches. Knowing Nintendo, that's definitely how it's going to work. You can only play on Switch or Switch 2. Nintendo's counting them as the same thing. You can only have the virtual game card loaded on one console or the other. I know how Nintendo works. That's definitely how it's going to work. Mark my words. Mark my words. Oh, and they also updated their website. So now you can load virtual game cards on their website. So if you want to just go on the Nintendo Switch website and be like, oh, hey, I think, like, let's say you're at work and you're like, oh, when I get home, I want to play Donkey Kong. And you have the virtual game card, you can just download it directly onto your Switch from your, like, phone or whatever. Technically, you could already kind of do this. If you bought a game on your, like, computer from the eShop, you could direct download it onto your primary Switch. So this was kind of something you could already do, but now you've got, like, more control to manage it, more control to download it. And that's not terrible. Alright, we've been talking about this for, like, over half an hour. Let's move on. Alright, so Silksong. We know Silksong is coming. Sometime this year, you know, they claimed at the Nintendo Direct 2025. Of course, this is like the third time they've claimed the game is releasing this year. Even though, again, I think the last time was, 2022? They claimed it would be out by 2023, and that didn't happen. So, I'm very skeptical about when it's coming out. But, basically, the new story... So, we got a new, like, model sheet. I'm not going to talk about that. Instead, the actual news story is in the Melbourne Museum in Australia. The Australian Museum in Melbourne. I think, let's just call it the Australian Museum. They're doing an exhibit called Game Worlds. And at this exhibit, presumably they're going to have a bunch of different games, you know, specifically probably highlighting Australian creators. And that includes Team Cherry. And so as part of this exhibit, they're going to have Silksong playable. Presumably a slice of the game, like a demo, not the full thing. It's just going to be a playable thing. They did, in their statement, put like a spoiler warning and say that, hey, in this playable demo or whatever, it will include bosses from the game. So they did say be wary of that. And this launches in September of this year. I don't think we have a specific date, but you know, in September, at the Australian Museum, you'll be able to play Silksong. What does this mean for actual Silksong? For people who actually want this game to release? The fact that they put out this spoiler warning would make me think that this is happening before the game's release. You know, that, hey, if you don't want to get spoiled, don't go play this at the museum. But it also might be after, and this is just like you know how like Nintendo Music, like, yeah, it's got music for all your favorite games, but you can put like a spoiler thing in case it's a game you haven't played, or, you know, you're not that, like, let's say you just started playing Splatoon 3 and you didn't want it spoiled that the final boss was Mr. Grizz, right? You could turn on that spoiler thing for a game that's already out. Potentially it's like that maybe by September the game will have released, and it's just for people who don't want spoilers, you know, just in general, you know, who maybe can't get around to it before then. It's a possibility, but based on what they're saying about this, how this is working, I do not think Silksong will be released by September. Just the way this is worded, how people are talking about this, which, admittedly, yes, it's not Team Cherry themselves, it's mostly other people. This makes it sound like it's not coming out until after September. Oh god, I need to sneeze, but I can't because my nose is clogged. So I'm not very optimistic about this. If I'm just being blatantly honest, I'm not very optimistic about how this is gonna work. About this coming out before September. I'd love it if it did. If this was a summer game that, you know, I could put a lot of time into over the summer, you know, that'd be a lot of fun, you know. But it's not going to be. It won't. They'll pull a sports story, and they're saying 2025, and it'll release December 26th, 2025. Because that's what admittedly, I think Sports Story was December 11th. What, 23, 24? I think it was December 11th, 2023. They came in at the wire, and clearly the game had development issues. It was rushed. And I expect the same thing for Silksong. Am I excited for Silksong? Yes. But the game's been through development hell. I hope that they made it through that with something good. But if they didn't, I wouldn't be surprised. I know, call me the naysayer of Silksong. But, listen, I've been burned too many times. Somebody has to see the truth. I want the game to be good, but I won't be surprised if it's something else. Next up, let's talk about Xbox. So, as we know, as we've talked about in the show many a times, Donald Trump, in his desire to destroy the country, his supporters think that, oh, he's just, he's hurting us now. So that way, when we heal back up, we'll be a better, stronger economy. And then he'll be able to eliminate income tax or whatever the fuck they think he's going to do. That he is definitely not going to do. Right? All Donald Trump does is lie. And his supporters don't realize that. And, it's been really funny this week to see people on Temu being like, oh, I was going to buy something off Temu, but the tariff prices are more expensive than the actual product. What kind of fucking bubble do you live in where you have no idea what the fuck is going on with all these tariffs, all this bullshit? You've just completely missed everything. What kind of bubble do you live in? Because that's crazy. That is crazy. And that's like one half of all Americans. They just vote on vibes and have no idea what the fuck is going on. But we're now starting across the board to see the effects of Donald Trump's tariffs. And this week they came for Xbox. Next week they're going to come for PlayStation. And then they're going to come for PC. It's only a matter of time until they start affecting PC parts. You want your RTXs, your GeForce RTX 5090? Yeah, it's only a matter of time until those start being affected as well. It's only a matter of time until PlayStation. People are so fucking insulated and have no idea what's going on in the world. I've seen people blame Nintendo for this. That, oh, Nintendo's charging $450 for their Switch 2. They're raising all their games to $80, which they're not. I have legitimately seen people blame Nintendo for Xbox increasing their prices. Because, of course, in Xbox's statement, they didn't blame the tariffs, even though it's the tariffs. But I get why they wouldn't, because Amazon allegedly, behind closed doors, according to one singular person, was considering putting tariff notices on products on their Amazon Haul website, which is like Amazon Temu, but not Woot, ? I don't know, I guess they're two different things. Amazon was considering this, and the president himself freaked the fuck out, called out Jeff Bezos, went through his secretary, and now, and then Amazon had to retract something they weren't actually going to do. They definitely were, but, now they're going to have to think of something sneakier and shadier, because, putting these tariff prices on Amazon makes the president look bad, and Jeff Bezos is not in the president's pocket. It's more like the other way around. The president's in his pocket, but, Donald Trump is a baby who is 84 years old, something like that, constantly sundowning, and so one bad thing triggers him, and who knows what crazy shit he's gonna do, because he's fucking senile. So Xbox is raising their prices. So let me just kind of walk you through some of these. The Xbox Series S, which is, let's just do the main ones. The Xbox Series S, 1 terabyte, previously $349, so $350, is now $430. So that's what, $50, $67, $80 price increase. The Xbox Series X digital only edition used to be $450. It's now $550. That's a $100 price increase. The standard Xbox Series X used to be $500. Now it is $600. And the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition used to be $600. It's now $720. That is a $120 increase. That is more than the PS5 Pro. And this is, I want to be clear, this is all happening to PlayStation. Maybe not this week, probably next week. All this same shit's going to happen to PlayStation. The PS5 Pro might potentially cost $1,000 with a disc drive. That is not out of the realm of possibility here. Xbox wireless controllers, just the normal black one costs $64. The colored versions cost $69, or well, $70. The special editions now cost $80. The limited editions are now $10 more at $90. The Elite Series 2 costs $150, up from $140, and the full version, whatever that is, went from $180 to now $200. A headset is now $65, and a wireless headset is now $120. That's just $10 more, and that's just some. That's not all the price. That's just some of them. So that's some of the price increases from Microsoft. They also, I guess, said at some point, probably in the same, I don't know, I'm reading from IGN here, but it says that this holiday season, Xbox games will cost $80. My question is why? I know a lot of people are looking at Nintendo, it's Nintendo's fault. What Nintendo's doing is that Nintendo is raising all games to $70, but specifically Mario Kart, which is a deluxe Nintendo game, is now $80. They're specifically just increasing the price on Mario Kart to $80. Nothing else is $80 unless you're buying like an upgrade pass and all that bullshit. Everything else is just, $10 up. Why is Xbox pushing... If Xbox was pushing everything up to $70, like PlayStation already has, and like some Xbox games probably already are, that wouldn't surprise me. But I guess they're pushing everything up to $80? That's, that's the $20 leap if everything's going to be $80. And of course, we don't know any of the details. Maybe this is just for games like The Outer Worlds 2 or Fable, whereas most other games are going to be $60 or $70. We don't know. We don't know, obviously. But yeah, I don't blame this one on Nintendo. I mean, again, GTA, we'll see. I've seen people saying like, oh, GTA is going to now be $150 because of this. And then the other thing is, though, if they're increasing the price because of tariffs, shouldn't the price only go up on physical games? Because digital, I don't think there are tariffs on digital games. That's just data. If you're selling, yeah, sure, the discs have to come from China, but if you're buying a digital game, there is no disc. Why the fuck are they putting tariffs on that? I know part of the reason why physical games and digital games cost the same is so that way retailers like Walmart, Target, and GameStop will continue to sell consoles. But I don't know, Xbox. I don't know about this one. We'll see how it plays out, obviously. But this just reads as kind of shady to me. Yeah, this whole thing reads as shady. But no, none of this surprises me. Nintendo Switch accessories were hit by tariffs. Luckily not the console. But guess what? Because right now the big tariffs are on China. 150, 145, whatever it is at the moment. Guess who Nintendo makes their consoles in Vietnam. Primarily to avoid these tariffs. But you know who doesn't? Xbox. And PlayStation. They make their consoles in China. They're the next ones to get, PlayStation's next. It's only a matter of days. PlayStation is next. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And then you know what else is... Yeah, like I said, PC parts. They're going to start, you want a new motherboard, you want more RAM, you want a new graphics card. Yeah, you're not just competing with crypto bros anymore and their stupid mining rigs that are buying up all the graphics cards. No, now you've got to, compete against fucking, all these tariffs that now make everything cost, $500 more for a 5090. And then on top of that, I think iPhones are going to go up as well. All iPhones are made in China. Like, that's obviously going to be next. Yeah, no. Things are going to get... I've already seen some people start, like, panic buying. And, like, I wouldn't go that far yet. Especially for... I know not... The New York Times put out a great piece that was Your Home Without China. Like, that was looked at, like, all the parts of the home. And are like, 97% of baby strollers are made in China. 50% of bikes are made in China. And, like, there are certain, like, things, like, I think toilet paper is made in the U.S. God, I hope toilet paper is made in the U.S. But there are other, like, fruits and vegetables. Like, the fruits and vegetables are going to be struggling, but that's for Trump's immigration policies, because white people don't want to work agriculture jobs. That's a whole other issue, you know. And there are certain things that are made in the U.S. that aren't getting tariffed, but you know, people are going to start once we're in a recession. I was listening to I think talk about the stripper index today, and how the stripper index, which is one of the first signs of a recession, right? The stripper index was the first indicator of the 2008 recession. Yeah, no, the stripper index is not looking good right now, which I think is our biggest sign that, yeah, we're going into recession. Nobody wants to call it yet, because it hasn't happened yet, but I wonder when the line's gonna break. It's only a matter of time. But man, Trump is fucking ruining it for everybody. But people voted for him because they want cheaper eggs. And now eggs and gas are more expensive than they ever have been. Like, fuck. And then, of course, Trump just goes on Truth Social, blames Biden, and his supporters just blindly believe him. Because, of course, they do. Because that's what it's like to be in a cult. Yes! Yes, another one. Alright. Next story. Let's talk about Polygon and Giant Bomb. So, let's talk about Giant Bomb first. So, I read Kotaku's article on this. And Giant Bomb, from what I can tell, is owned by Fandom. You know, you know what fandom websites are. If you've ever tried to Google something about a game, you've probably messed around with them. But basically, Kotaku, right, Fandom has started, you know, releasing people from Giant Bomb. And Kotaku reached out for them for a statement. And they basically said they are strategically resetting and realigning their media brands. What does this mean? Well, certain people are out of a job. Not everybody, but certain people are out of a job. Specifically the one that, you know, the reason I found out about all this is Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb in his games mess. Jeff Grubb is one of those games journalists that I highly recommend you follow. Go on Blue Sky, give him a follow. He's one of the best out there. He is so good. I have, you know, referenced him many times over all the years I've been doing this show. And so to find out he's out of a job again, because this is not the first time he's been out, it sucks. It really sucks to see him. I'm hopeful he's gonna continue doing great stuff. You know, maybe is Substack still a thing? Substack's a thing, right? Maybe I'll give that a try. But I know he's got a Patreon that you can go support. But I'm sure he'll continue doing great stuff wherever he ends up. But yeah, this sucks. This sucks. I have been a fan of Giant Bomb for years now. Not really something I go out and look for, but like anytime there's like a Nintendo Direct or an E3, right? I always react to those things, you know, I always react to Summer Games Fest. But afterwards, you know, I like watching other people. And so way back in the day, like 2017, you would get like a Nintendo Direct. And then I reacted to it. And then afterwards, it'd be like, oh, I wonder what like Game Explains is saying. Back when Game Explains, used to matter. But one of those channels I'd always go check out was Giant Bomb. Giant Bomb always had great reactions to, Nintendo Directs, State of Plays, Summer Games Fest, right? Again, Jeff Grubb's Summer Games Mess is like the first thing when I think of Summer Games Fest. Right? It's just one of they're forever linked in my head. And yeah, it just kind of sucks to see all these websites, it's hard to be an independent media source out there. So many of these ones are selling to their parent companies, and these parent companies are just trying to screw them over, or they're restructuring and laying people off. Because the other one we have is Polygon. So where do I start with Polygon? Back in the day, Polygon was the boogeyman of the games industry. It was specifically, okay, I almost got red-pilled back in like 2015. I was one of those guys, I was fan of, like, there was like the whole skeptic community. Oh, look at these ridiculous SJWs, right? Skeptics, like TJ Kirk, The Amazing Atheist, Armored Skeptic, Shoe on Head. Like, I was a fan of some of those people, and, them making fun of SJWs. And I always remember those people used to be like, oh, the worst places in the world. Polygon, Kotaku, and Salon. These they weren't Gamergate, but they were like Gamergate adjacent people. And I used to almost be in that rabbit hole. And then Trump got elected. And I was like, no, fuck these guys. Because in hindsight, all like the whole skeptic community, like I want to say TJ Kirk didn't support Donald Trump. I want to say that with the last video I ever watched of him was him telling Donald Trump to go fuck himself. But in hindsight, it's very clear those people are part of the alt-right pipeline. Though, the anti-SJW crowd, even though, they were just skeptics. Oh yeah, they supported gay people, but, you don't want to take it too far. You don't want to be a social justice warrior. They were just red-pilling people. They were just red-pilling people and pushing them down the alt-right pipeline, even if they weren't on the alt-right, or at least they didn't actively say they were. Yeah, no, that was just the alt-right pipeline. Luckily, I got out. And, I say Trump, but it's also, you meet gay people, you meet trans people, and you realize they're not these big, bad boogeyman, these people make them out to be. So, yeah, it's complete bullshit. And Polygon was always like, oh, it's Polygon. They're the SJW woke games media. Well, okay, we didn't use woke back then, but you get the point. They would nowadays. And it's like, no, Polygon was fine. Sure, did they run some dumb stories? Did Kotaku? Sure they did. But no, they were fine. They were fine. Like, people blew it way too out of proportion. I got into Polygon with Brian David Gilbert. Brian David Gilbert's Unraveled series came across my feed, and I was just like, oh, I'll watch this video. It was about, I think it was the Sonic video. I think it was that. It was either that or it was the Breath of the Wild food one. I can't remember which one I saw first. But I was like, oh, I'll watch that. And it was really good. And it was really funny. And then I watched the rest of Unraveled, and I was like, oh yeah, these guys are pretty great. Brian David Gilbert, Jenna, Simone, Pat, all super entertaining, super interesting. I'm specifically talking about, like, the YouTube side of things. Like, I remember they're, like, they had, like, a board game show, They were doing some funny stuff. And so I was like, yeah, no, Polygon's not bullshit. Like, yeah, they're good, they're interesting. I know the McElroy brothers had something to do with that, which I was back then. I was big on the McElroy brothers. Nowadays, oh my god, Abnormals had their season finale this week, and I have not watched the Adventure Zone since, like, Ether Sea. I think I watched the first, like, 2 or 3 episodes of Ether Sea, wasn't vibing with it, and haven't touched them since. But, like, listening to everything that's gone wrong with Abnormals, and, Travis being the DM again, like, holy fucking shit, man. It's bad. It's like, Graduation was bad. Even though I didn't hate Graduation like everybody else did, I thought it was okay. Like, it was definitely their weakest season, but I didn't outright hate it like some others did. And admittedly, in hindsight, it was definitely worse than I gave it credit for. But, oh my gosh, just reading stuff about this Abnormals, it's bad. It's very bad. Where oh yeah, Polygon. So Polygon, large parts of their staff they seem to have been laid off. We don't know the exact numbers. It's at least like 20 people, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it is. Because they got bought out by Valnet. Whoever their parent company was, they got bought out by Valnet, and this means portions of their staff are being laid off. I know, like, some people, like, I know Brian David Gilbert left years ago now. I think Jenna got fired, if I remember correctly. I don't know, I follow her on TikTok. But, you know, presumably Simone and Pat, you know, they might be out of jobs. Which I hope they go on to do good things. I'd love to see them on some Dropout stuff. Like, Pat would be great on Make Some Noise or something like that. I honestly think they both would be. So, you know, I'd love to see anything from them. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see, I guess. But no, I do have some fond memories of Polygon. Specifically around the, you know, Unraveled era. Like, when they were making stuff around that time, they made some good stuff. I will think of Polygon fondly in those moments. And yeah, it does suck. This is a terrible scenario. But it's just kind of where we are in the gaming industry. This, you know, layoffs are present, you know, sites being shut down, sites being broken. And while I know, like, did Game Informer come back? It's either Game Informer or GameSpot. Maybe potentially both. But it's all a mess, you know. More and more studios are, you know, laying people off, you know, these news sites. And I know some people hate all games news journalists, games press. I think they play a role in things. You should not, like, only pick one source and only use that one source. But it's important to, you know, at least do some of this. Alright. So we got our 4 Poliwags. Let's evolve them. Alright, so let's evolve them real quick. Show them off. And then maybe to go online, I'm going to need to update the Switch. So maybe we'll update the Switch real quick. I'll go grab some water while I do that. We'll do my other thing, because I do have another thing that maybe we'll do right now, you know, while the Switch is updating. And then we'll jump back into things. And we'll talk about GTA finally. Alright, we got Poliwag here. Or Poliwhirl. I don't think we can get Politoad. I think we need a King's Rock. But I think it's a trade evolution. And I don't have anybody I can trade with right now. So I'm pretty sure that one's off limits. But we can do it's kind of like same thing with the Porygons. Like we caught the Porygons last week. And we kind of just can't do anything with those. But we do have a Water Stone, so we can at least do this one. My question is, why aren't they all green? All these shinies should have been green. Because Politoad is blue. Politoad, the green one, is blue. Why aren't these all green? I saw someone made an interesting video where they got all of the shiny... They took the modern day 3D sprites and then showed the problem with modern day shinies aren't that they're too... You know, they look too similar to their normal ones. I mean, they are. The problem is coloring. The games aren't saturated enough. The colors are too dark. If you made the colors brighter, you know, the Poliwag would stand out a lot. Like, Politoad, I can definitely tell. Poliwrath, obviously. But Poliwhirl just looks too similar. But if you messed with the colors, if you made everything brighter, you'd be able to see the difference so much better. So, it was an interesting video to watch. about how, you know, Pokemon's changed to 3D. It's not that the games look worse. What the... Whatever. It's that the coloring is bad. That if you just brighten up the colors, everything looks so much better. Yeah, it was an interesting video to watch. Alright, let me... do that. Alright, I'm gonna close out the... Let me save. Alright, I'm gonna quit out. I'm gonna update. Alright, while this updates, I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back, and then we're gonna try something. I've never done it before, but you know, there's always a first time to try something. So fuck it, right? Like, let's try something. Oh, okay, I'm talking now. Every week I come on here and am like, oh yeah, let's do, Pokemon Pocket, whatever, Pokemon thingy. Every week I open cards, but I never actually, like, show my screen. So this week I was like, you know what, fuck it. Let's see if I can actually, show my screen. Because I've never actually been able to do that. So I was messing around with things. And I mean, it was showing there for a second. I broke it though, clearly. Somehow I broke it. I don't know how I broke it. Fuck. Why? It just worked a second ago. Okay, are we back? Are we back? Is this working? All right. Let's open up some fucking cards. And another Sandshrew, a Heliotile, Carablast, Sableye, and McGurn. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a card. Oh shit. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know. I did not know there was a illustration Magernia. Okay, this is cool that I can actually do this. I know it's not perfectly windowed there. And yeah, because phone stuff is weird. So far I've got 26 cards of this new pack. So I'll be honest, I don't really play this game. Mostly I just collect. If we go back, you can see I've got over 2,000 cards, and I mostly just collect, I've never actually got to show off my collection before. This is kind of cool. I'm missing a bunch of stuff in the original set. I'm only missing of the main set in Mystical Island. I'm missing Gyarados at 118, and I'm missing Pidgeotto at 59. And then in Space Time Smackdown, I'm missing, like 25-ish cards? More like 30. Missing a bunch of stuff in Space Time Smackdown. Triumphant Light. 5, 7. I'm missing, 7? Missing Dark Nighttime Cherrim. Is there a Hound? I have no idea. Oh, Azurail? Maybe that's Azurail. Abomasnow. Tyranitar. Crobat. I'm presuming that's Palkia. And 61. I think that's Arceus. I have the full art Arceus, or the illustration, the animated Arceus, but I don't have the normal one. So I'm missing a few things there. Shining Revelry, the last set, I was only missing 2 things. I'm missing the Pikachu EX at 22, and I'm missing Grafaiai at 51. And I have tried to wonder pick both those cards so many times. I have seen them pop up in the Wonder Picks so many times, and I can just never get them. I got a few shinies, though. I want to be clear. I have never spent a single cent on this game. Yeah. And now, of course, here we are in Celestial Gardens. Guardians? Yeah. I'm just glad I get to show this off, I do not do much battling. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I mostly am just in this game to collect. But I actually did do some battles. I finally sat, right, there's an event going on right now to get a Rayquaza, and I was like, I kind of want Rayquaza. God, that's 5 years. That is crazy. So I've only, like, as you can see, a lot of these, like, these expert battles and whatnot, I've never even touched. I only started messing around with battling this week. I'm mostly doing collecting. But, okay, we did all that. So, if you look at my hourglasses, I have over 1,764. I've been saving them up because I've always been like, oh, maybe one day on stream, I'll open up like a 10-pack. Maybe whenever a new set comes out, we'll do a 10-pack. So I was thinking, you know, assuming we can. Because I open the game, I play the game every day. I open it up, I get my shop reward, you know, I do missions, you know. Listen, if you... I have maybe in the past... Since this game released in, October... I have at most missed like 3 days. Every time I get the notification of open a pack. I'm level 30, by the way. Every time I get the notification, open a pack, I open a pack. Oh, there's my friend code, by the way. Yeah, no, I do it. So yeah, that's why I've never used an hourglass. I've used a few of the Wonder Pick ones, which I also have like a shitload of. I have... Oh, 1,197. Yeah. I just don't... Again, I play the game very casually. I'm just in it to collect. Oh, there's a Meteor card. Oh, there's a Solgaleo. Okay. Ooh. There's some cool looking cards. Oh my... Fuck it, let's try for this. Meteor is one of my favorites. Fuck it, let's try for it. Let's do it. Okay. So, in my experience, when wonder picking, so we're going... The Meteor card is in the bottom left. Statistically, it is more likely to go to the top right, or the top left, or the bottom right. But it could also go to any other... Statistically, that's how we've seen it most often. But I'm going to go middle. I'm going to go top middle. This is going to be a mistake. Fuck, I was right. It was top right. I said it was going to be one of those two. Recently, every card I've wanted has been in top middle. In the past, like, 6 wonder picks I've done, they've been in top middle. I have not been getting good wonder picks recently. I keep getting fucked over. And I always just send a thanks. I don't care if it's the card I want or not. I always send it. Alright, let's go in here. I've only opened the Solgaleo pack so far. Let's open the Lunala packs. Can I? Yep, 119 hourglasses. I've never opened a 10-pack before. Let's swipe to the left. Jingmo, Big Molisada, Sandshrew. Oh, look at the Lunatone. I like Lunatone and Solrock. I know they're not good, but I do like them. Garbor. I don't hate Garbodor. I know some people do. Diglett. Rockruff. I've seen the illustration Rockruff. It is beautiful. Another Garbodor. Oh, a shiny Ghastly? Oh shit, I didn't know there were shinies in this pack. Editing your resume, yeah. I haven't had to do that in many years. I hate editing my resume. I try to avoid it as much as possible. Look at that. Shiny Ghastly. Oh, shit. I think I get why people like card opening YouTubers now. Like, collecting cards sucks. And right now, everything is so expensive. But I think I kind of get the appeal. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Jingmo, Fomantis. Oh my... Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Another Ghastly. I would say is this our God pack, but we're already kind of... There's something else in here, though. Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely run away. I get that. Ooh, look at that Absol. Shinotic, Vulpix. I like Heliotile. I think Heliotile is pretty cool. Heliolisk, specifically. I used its evolution in Pokemon X, and I had a good time with it. Sandslash, Litten. Turton. Another Pokemon I like. I like Turtonator. I used one in Ultra Sun. Worked out pretty well for me. Growlithe. Oh, that's what we're going to be shiny hunting here in a minute. Grimer. Oh my god. We're getting lucky with the shiny cards, which is nice. We're getting a lot of shinies. Oh, Maractus. Arcanine. And another Marowak. Oh, is this stream luck? Am I only getting... Because I don't get this lucky normally. I do not get this lucky normally. I'm getting better pulls than I normally get. Ugh, Rexish. Yulima. Put one of your... Okay. Hita. Stuffle. Ooh, Excadrill. Alright, that was all 10 packs. 2 shiny Ghastlys, 2 Marowak Full Arts, Alolan Marowaks, and then just normal Marowak EX shiny. There were some good cards in there. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely... There's this thing... So I have a Samsung, and there's this thing called Stream... Like... What was it called? It's like Stream View or... Smart... It's called Smart View. And that just allows me to stream my phone to my computer. It's not perfect, and I've heard not every phone it works with, but somehow I was able to get it to work, even though I've been having multiple issues with it. Alright, we're up to 52. We basically doubled our set of cards. That was great. We opened a bunch of packs right there. Sure, is my timing off a little bit? Yeah, whatever. Let's get some of our mission rewards. Beach, the day and the night. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Alright, listen, I potentially this might become a weekly thing. You know how, like, back when marbles were going on, every week we'd watch a new episode of the Marble League, even though we haven't in a while. I feel like every week now it's going to be like, hey, let's do a Pokemon card pack. This might become the new thing. Just once a week we'll open a new Pokemon card pack. But, alright, with that, let me hit that, let me hit that, let me do that one. Alright, let me figure out, how do I disconnect this? Alright, I think I disconnected. Alright, we should be good there. We're good there. Alright, let me open back up Pokemon. Let me get back into Pokemon Scarlet. Alright, we should be good. We should be booting up the game. Did I break anything? I don't think I did. Alright, it looks like we're back. You know, we did a little Pokemon excursion. I could honestly see us doing that every week. I get it. You know, because I've seen people like open Pokemon card packs, and I never really got the appeal. I never really understood why, you know, but I kind of, you know, doing it right now on stream, I just had a bunch of fun just opening, even though, you know, we didn't do anything that special. I wouldn't say so. I don't know. I had fun, but I will never spend. That is my one promise to you, all the viewers, the chat. I will never spend money in Pokemon Pocket. I can't. I refuse. I know gambling addiction is real. I will never spend money in this game. But I will have fun, you know, getting all my free stuff. Alright, so we're looking for Growlithe. Since we're still here in Kitakami, let's just go for Growlithe right off the bat. Seems like the easiest one to do. Alright. That was fun. I had a good time with that. And it worked seemingly with no issue, which is nice. Okay, we had a little issue there. You got to see my show notes. Nah, gambling's addicting. Gambling is addicting, and I've seen it ruin people's lives. No, thank you. No, thank you. Where were we? Why does a legendary become a... Time travel? My biggest thing is, I would say time travel. But there's also the possibility that the time machine isn't actually a time machine, but a machine that grants wishes. And they read a book, and there's a book that may or may not be real, that had a Pokemon that was, you know, a futuristic and or dinosaur bike. And because of the Dream Machine, it made that Pokemon real. And then it went on to murder people, like genuinely like murder people. But that also may just be complete fan fiction. And it probably is. Like, it probably is just fan fiction. I don't know. It's complicated. It is sadly really complicated. Let's just say time travel. Let's just say time travel. Oh, okay. So we were talking about GTA 6. That's the whole reason. That's the whole name of the show, after all. So it came out today from Rockstar Games that GTA 6 has been delayed. I will read you the official statement. So the official statement is, Grand Theft Auto 6 is now coming May 26th, 2026. Grand Theft Auto 6 is now set to release on May 26, 2026. We are very sorry that this is later than you expected. The interest and excitement surrounding a new Grand Theft Auto has been truly humbling for our team. We want to thank you for your support and your patience as we work to finish the game. With every game we have released, the goal has always been to try and exceed your expectations, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is no exception. We hope you understand that we need this extra time to deliver at a level of quality you expect and deserve. We look forward to sharing more information with you soon. Sincerely, Rockstar Games. So GTA 6 has been delayed, and honestly, I saw this coming from a mile away. I don't know anybody who didn't see this coming from a mile away. This game was never going to release this year. Rockstar games always get delayed. I cannot tell you the last Rockstar game that didn't get delayed. You know, Red Dead Redemption, GTA 5. Red Dead Redemption 2, I mean. They always get delayed. Rockstar games, that's just how Rockstar works. I was fully expecting this game to get delayed. Everybody else was expecting this game to get delayed. And it was actually interesting that, like, people were actually wondering if this announcement was going to come. Because earlier in the week, they moved the release date for Borderlands 4. And we also got the release date for the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Yotai, which is coming out in October. So, it kind of made people wonder, like, hey, are we going to find out if Grand Theft Auto's, you know, getting a release date or getting delayed? Because people had wondered. Like, there'd been rumors behind the scenes that a lot of games were hesitant to announce their release date because they didn't want to compete with GTA 6. Because who wants to compete with GTA 6? Like, obviously, everyone's just going to buy that one. I mean, they're going to charge $150 for it or some shit like that. So I get that. I get why people wouldn't want to compete. And having an official release date now of May 26th, is it possible that that May 26th release date gets delayed? Oh gosh, yes. 1,000%. It is totally possible that that release date gets delayed. I would not at all be surprised if that doesn't get pushed again. But it might not, but it also might. I do feel like they're definitely leaning into 2026. Right, they're leaning into the double 26s there. But this doesn't surprise me. The interesting statement comes from Jason Schreier. Let's see, did I bookmark this? You know, I like Blue Sky more than I do Twitter. But my one problem with Blue Sky is that you can't bookmark tweets. Or whatever they're called on Blue Sky. Posts? No, they're not called posts. Whatever. You can't bookmark stuff on Blue Sky. If they added that one feature to Blue Sky where you could bookmark stuff, I would abandon Twitter forever. But like the fact that I can't just bookmark stuff and I have to now go through and find what I'm looking for, that kind of sucks. Let me see. Jason Schreier. So Jason Schreier said, right, he posted about the delay. And then he said, nobody I've talked to at Rockstar Games has believed fall 2025 was a real window for a very long time now. And what appears to be a real desire from management to avoid brutal crunch. GTA 6 slipping to 2026 has seemed inevitable for months now. It's not longer. If not longer. To the Redditors saying things like, oh, now you tell us. I highly recommend subscribing to our weekly Bloomberg Gaming letter. It's full of news, insights, and so much as telling you this in January. Which, yeah, no, totally. Give Jason, if you're interested in any of this, always go give Jason Schreier a follow. He knows what he's talking about. But, so, Jason Schreier was the one who, back in, 2019, released his report on Rockstar Games. And how they basically abuse their employees to release Red Dead Redemption. So as part of that, right, he mentions to avoid that they're delaying the game to avoid brutal crunch. And so someone asks, like, hey, are they avoiding crunch this time? What have you heard? And, right, he says, skepticism is always healthy, but I've been keeping tabs on this for years. Since my big 2018 story about Red Dead's 2's crunch, they certainly haven't eliminated all their overtime, but everyone I've talked to at Rockstar Games says it's night and day from previous projects. If that changes, I'll report on it. So, you know what? A delay is a good thing. If the developers are given time, you know, it's not perfect, obviously. No studio is. But if the developer has been given time, if the work environment is better, and we actually know the work environment is better. Like Ubisoft. Ubisoft always claims like, oh yeah, we went in, we fixed thing. The work environment at Ubisoft is so much better now. And then you talk to people behind the scenes, you know, you listen to these journalists who are like, no, things are just as bad as Ubisoft now as they used to be. You know, Ubisoft just claims they aren't. Hearing that from Jason Schreier The one that broke the story that, no, things are better at Rockstar. They're not perfect, but they're better. That is a good thing to hear. I'm glad. Again, take as long as you want. This is already going to be probably the most expensive game ever made. Right? There's a reason why everyone thinks they're going to charge $100 for it. $150. Yeah, you know, if you got to put that time and money into it, if your employees are being paid properly, which I don't know if they are. That one I'm a bit more skeptical on. But you know, if they have to take their time, take all the time they need. Because it was Jeff Grubb. I want to say I was listening to Kinda Funny Games Daily. And he mentioned that, right, of course they're going to take their time with GTA 6. Because people are going to be playing this game for the next decade. Basically, he put it like, they're taking their time because they're making the next Roblox. Right? Roblox, which I didn't know until he said it. Roblox has been around since 2006. That game is almost 20 years old. And it's lasted this entire time. I mean, Minecraft's, 2011? If Rockstar intends to make a game that's going to last another decade, another 2 decades, if they're going to do GTA Online again, sell their shark cards, and provide a decade's worth of content, like what they did with GTA 5. Like, if you never played GTA Online, they added so much content to that game post-release. All of it online, all of it you had to spend more money to play. But they did it. If they're going to do that again, yeah, they've got to take their time because they have to get it perfect. Because if they screw this, they only get one chance to make that first impression. And if they screw it up, I mean, it's not over forever. Cyberpunk came back. No Man's Sky came back. You know, anything's possible, but I get it. I get their worry, especially, again, if they're trying to create a whole ecosystem. So I don't blame them at all. Alright, so that's that. Our final news story of the night, Chrono Trigger. So, I guess Yuri Horii, a developer on Chrono Trigger, a developer at Square Enix, something like, I don't know entirely who he is. He has some connection to Square Enix and Chrono Trigger. He is at Naples Comic-Con, and during a panel, it basically sounded like he was saying that Chrono Trigger Remaster is in development. That's kind of like, it came through a translator, obviously. But it basically, yeah, they're working on a Chrono Trigger Remaster. And that, right after he said that, the translator said, "You heard nothing," after apparently realizing what just happened. As if he, like, misspoke or made a mistake. So people immediately this came earlier this morning. People immediately started freaking out about it. Because, like, why wouldn't you freak out about that? Chrono Trigger is one of the most beloved games of all time. The idea of it getting an HD 2D remake, kind of like what they're doing with Dragon Quest 1 through 3 right now, sounds amazing. I've admittedly never played Chrono Trigger, but the idea of a Chrono Trigger remake or remaster, that'd get me to play that game. But, so that story broke like 10 hours ago. Just 4 hours ago. Let's see, this comes from Gamatsu. It says, late update, footage from the event is out, and Horii himself never actually says anything about a remake of Chrono Trigger. It looks like it was all the interpreter. Sorry to burst everyone's bubble. So it looks like, yeah, no, he didn't say that. This is just a mistranslation, or this is just the interpreter saying something. That we are not getting Chrono Trigger remastered. I definitely 100% think they should do a Chrono Trigger remaster. Like, that would make a lot of sense. That would sell very well. People very much want Chrono Trigger remastered. I get that. I get the appeal of that. I get why people would want that. I think this is something they should very obviously do. The question is just, will they do it? I would like to hope it's a matter of when, not if, but this is Square Enix. They re-released Chrono Trigger a few years ago, and it was the shitty mobile port that they had made a few years prior. It was on PC. Instead of giving it like its own PC version, they just did they put a mobile port on Steam. And it was like, this sucks. I don't know. I know the original is good. I know the DS port is great from what I remember. But the idea of it getting the HD 2D treatment, that's a dream. And sadly, this is a dream we all just woke up from. It happens. It happens. But man, it would have been so cool. I don't know. I say this like I've played the game. I haven't. But I know everybody loves Chrono Trigger. It's one of those games I have to play one of these days. You know, it's one of those things that you got to do before you die, but I don't have time for RPGs. I play all my RPGs in the retirement home. Ugh. Alright, I guess let's get to WIBE, shall we? So, what have I been doing? We got a bunch of food stuff. I've got 2 places I went to. And then I have a bunch of snacks. Like, you know, stuff that, you know, you buy at the store and then take home. I feel like it's been a while since we talked about snacks. Usually the only snacks we talk about are Oreos. And yes, we do have an Oreo to talk about. Because I don't think we talked about it we might have talked about it last week. I admittedly did not check the show notes. I don't think we did. I should actually check. Did we talk about Oreos last week? If we did, I don't have it on my list. Episode 17. That's episode 11. That's 14. Why the fuck are these not in order? Okay, they're like somewhat in order? Why is a... Why is 11 not... Oh, have I been... I guess I've been throwing stuff in the wrong folder. Yeah, no, as far as I can tell, we haven't talked about Oreos. I've got 2 other things. So we got a bunch of foodstuffs. I have 1 video game. I played Mario Maker. We'll talk about it. I want to talk about Game Changer. I meant to talk about Game Changer last week, and I just kind of forgot. I knew I wanted to talk about it. Like, I knew there was something I had forgotten about last week, and then I realized, like, an hour after the stream, oh, it was Game Changer. And then, obviously, we got to talk about Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts, the new Marvel movie, came out today. I have seen it, and we are going to talk about it. So, yeah. And then, you know, maybe we'll throw anything else along the way. Alright, so the first thing is the chicken tenders from McDonald's. McDonald's has their new permanent menu item, they say, is their McCrispy chicken tenders. We're just going to call them McDonald's chicken tenders. Alright, I know this isn't as bad as like a bitchin' burger with slammin' sauce or, you know, those millennial restaurants. But McCrispy chicken, that's just a fucking mouthful. So McDonald's has these chicken tenders. You know, people really want McDonald's snack wraps. I guarantee you they're not going to live up to the hype. As someone who really wanted Taco Bell volcano sauce, don't get me wrong, I liked the volcano sauce when it came back, but the idea of the volcano sauce I built up in my head was never going to be as good as the final product. I'll tell you right now, whatever idea you have of snack wraps in your head, built up over many years and decades potentially, they're never going to live up to what they're actually going to be. It will never be as good as you want it to be. And the actual chicken... So technically the chicken tenders don't release until May 5th. But most McDonald's have just started serving them early. Basically, they, from what I can tell, they've been told, like, hey, once you receive them, start selling them. Because, again, they're a new permanent menu item. Now, McDonald's has done chicken tenders in the past. And I feel like in the past, I have liked them. Like, I have tried them before. I specifically remember Michael Jones talking about them. This was, I think, before his, the Face Jam podcast. I remember him, yeah, just on, like, an off-topic. But that was, what, like 5-6 years ago now? So, these new chicken tenders, can I be honest, I don't think they're anything that special. There's, specifically, you can buy, like, a box of chicken tenders at Costco that taste basically just like this. Sure, do they have that McDonald's flair? I mean, I guess, but they're also just kind of chicken tenders. And, yeah, I feel like I've had ones at Costco that taste the exact same, that are equally good. Like, because don't get me wrong, I do like those Costco chicken tenders. Admittedly, they're bigger than these are. Not that these were, like, super small. Like, I've definitely had smaller chicken tenders at, like, Raising Cane's. These are okay sized, you know. But yeah, I wasn't too impressed with the chicken tenders. Like, they didn't blow me away. They were nothing that stands out. You know, they didn't feel wholly unique to McDonald's. Like, sure, are they probably better than, like, Cane's? Yeah, but you don't go to Cane's for the chicken. And at least when you're getting fries at McDonald's, the fries are good. I love McDonald's fries, man. Specifically, right when they're fresh. Like, right when you get them, you got, like, a minute or two, and they're perfect. And they just kind of get a little worse every second after that. But, man, those first, like, 2 minutes, perfection. So... So the other new thing they got is they have this creamy chipotle sauce. Do I have it written down? Yeah, it's a creamy chipotle sauce. And I would say, oh, this is McDonald's version of the cane sauce. They don't taste anything alike, but, like, clearly they're going for, like, that vibe or something like that. And I'll be honest, I didn't think it was that bad. I liked it better than, like, KFC has, like, a KFC sauce that, again, is kind of going for a similar vibe. And I liked it better than that. I don't like it as much as, like, Taco Bell has their, like, Bell sauce for their nuggets. I don't like it as much as that. But comparing, you know, since both Taco Bell and McDonald's have chicken, right? They're doing, like, chicken. Admittedly, Taco Bell's are nuggets, whereas these are tenders. Different ballparks. I'd recommend Taco Bell's over these any day of the week. I think the flavor of Taco Bell, it's got a more complex profile. It's different. It's different, but in a good way. Sure, is it like a McDonald's nug? No. But what it does well. And I like Taco Bell's chicken nuggets. I do think they're pretty good. Taco Bell nuggets. Alright, where was I? Yeah, no, the chicken tenders, they're fine. I know people are going to be more excited for snack wrap. Can I be honest? I'm only doing... when the snack wrap comes out, which presumably will be the end of the month. I think they've been kind of hinting that it's going to be the end of May. I'll try it, but I'm actually not too excited for it. Like, I feel like I've had, like, snack wrap equivalents at, like, other places, and they just haven't been, like, as good. And I know, oh, well, they're not McDonald's, but still... I was not too impressed with that. So, yeah, I'll try it when it happens, but I'm not, like, over the moon for this. This isn't, like, blowing me away or anything. It's just, like, it happens when it happens. Other places I had... Sonic Burger. They have this new unicorn slush. It is a cotton candy blue raspberry slush with, like, blue raspberry popping bubbles. I don't hate Sonic's popping bubbles. I know some people they're like, oh, it's just a cheap trick or whatever, because they're like discount boba. And yeah, they definitely are. But I don't hate them. I know some people don't don't want that, like, texture in a drink. Like, oh, you're sucking on a straw and all of a sudden you get a bursting bubble and that's just weird. I get why some people don't like that, but I'm actually fine with it. So I had this, and if you look at the pictures of this unicorn slush, it's like bright pink with blue on the bottom. That was not what mine looked like. Mine was white with blue on the bottom. And then once I stirred it, it did have whipped cream on the top. I stirred it up, it just became fully blue. I'm convinced that when I had this, because I had it the first day, it released on like Monday. I had it on Monday. Maybe I had it on Tuesday. Whatever day I had it the day it released. I am convinced they just didn't put the cotton candy in it. It was not pink. Either the cotton candy syrup just was not pink, or they just didn't put it in. Because I mostly just tasted the blue raspberry. Now, to that end, I will say, I do really like blue raspberry. I know blue raspberries aren't real, and it's just like a made-up flavor. I still do really like... I like normal raspberries as well. I like normal raspberry. I like blue raspberry. I think the blue raspberry poppin' bubbles were good. The raspberry part of this, I did enjoy. I did enjoy this drink, but I definitely think they did not give me the right drink. This is also supposed to come with a unicorn straw. They did not give me a unicorn straw. They just gave me a normal straw. There's a part of me that does kind of wish it was ice cream instead of like whipped topping. Because if you've ever had one of their ice cream floats, oh my god, an ice cream float from Sonic is so fucking good. And if you just want to make your own, get a slush and then get an ice cream cone and just put the fucking ice cream cone in the slush. Trust me, it works out fine. You blend that fucker up, tastes so good. Oh my gosh. It's very sweet, obviously, but it tastes so fucking good. Man, I may not like Sonic Burger's food, but their drinks are so good. Like, that's the only reason I go. And yeah, no, I'm definitely going to have to try this unicorn thing again. I should do it sooner rather than later to see if I can get a unicorn straw. They're probably already sold out by this point. But no, what I had was fine, but I definitely think they fucked it up. I definitely don't think I got it. I don't know, maybe I'll try again and maybe it'll have pink in it. But I don't expect that. It was fine. I like blue raspberry, man. I don't know, do they normally have blue raspberry? I honestly don't know. Normally, the only place I usually get blue raspberry is when I go see a movie at the movie theater. My local theater has like a slushie machine, and they have cherry, Coke, and blue raspberry. And even though I also do really like cherry, I got their blue raspberry once on like accident. I think the cherry was broken, and I was like, ah, fuck it, I'll do blue raspberry instead. And this was like 5 years ago, 5 or 6. And I was like, oh my god, this is so good. And I've only gotten blue raspberry since then. Man, I fucking do like blue raspberry. I was gonna look at Sonic to see, do they offer a, Oops, I fully cooked Freddy's. Wasn't Freddy supposed to have something new? Weren't they supposed to have like a ribeye burger or something like that? Like a key lime shake? And maybe next week. Let me see. Unicorn Dreams. Okay, Unicorn Dream Slush. Yeah, no, I'm looking at this picture. It's very pink. Mine's not pink at all. This picture is even more pink than I thought it was. Ooh. What was I looking? I was looking for slushes, wasn't I? Drinks. Slushes. Yeah, okay, they do have a blue raspberry. It'd be weird if they didn't, but when I thought blue, the only thing I could think of was blue coconut. Oh, they do still have the strawberry shortcake one. I did like that one as well. Again, I like Sonic's drinks. What can I say? I did not like the berries and cream, though. The berries and cream sucked. It was the strawberry pieces just weren't good. You don't go for the burgers. I'll say that. You know what show we need to talk about? Escape the Kitchen. I only thought of that because Sonic is a drive-through, and Escape the Kitchen did a drive-through episode where they did like a car hop thing, and it was Vic Michaelis, right? And they were so good. It was Vic and Zach. Oh my gosh. Well, because I don't really talk about. I feel like we don't really talk about Try Guys too much on here, even though I have been subscribed to their streaming service for a year now. I think Second Try is like almost a year old. And like, sure, do I watch it that much? Not really. But when I do, I have enjoyed what I've watched. And I think Keith did an Eat the Menu on Epic Universe. And that sounds great, and I really should watch that. I actually did consider watching it today, and I just kind of forgot. Alright, sidetrack, let's talk about some snacks and stuff. Snacks and more. So, Oreos. They did S'moreos. They're s'more Oreos. Brennan Lee Mulligan, Oreo, complaining about the flavors. Honestly, you just need default Oreos. But man, I like peanut butter Oreos. I like Nutty Buddy, Nutter Butters, Nutty Buddy. I do like those as well, but peanut butter Oreos are also pretty good. But I heard s'more Oreo. I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure I've had these before, but I think they brought them back, and people were, oh, hey, it's s'more Oreos again. They were very excited, and I was just kind of like, I'll try it, whatever. I got them. Yeah, they're fine. I mean, they're all gone now. This was like this is something I should have talked about last week and then just forgot. They're gone now, but they're Oreos, man. It's kind of hard to fuck up an Oreo. But, they keep making them, and I'll keep trying some of the new stuff. Like, I think of all these, like, sodas, where I buy all these shitty sodas, and it's just like, oh, fuck. I have 12 of these. I have 12 Flamin' Hot Mountain Dews. What the fuck am I gonna do with this? I've never had that problem with an Oreo. Sure, not every, like the Coke Oreo, like the only Oreo that I've struggled to like be like, oh, well, I guess we gotta finish this packet, is the Coke Oreos. That's the only one where I still, I don't think, I still have Oreo flavored Cokes, but I don't have any Coke flavored Oreos, if that makes sense. But that's like the only one. These are already gone. So that was the first thing I tried. The second thing I tried, this is Target exclusive. Target has, they're called Crispy Marshmallow M&Ms. They're M&Ms, they're actually like balls, like they're round. But they're crispy marshmallow. So they're supposed to taste like a Rice Krispie treat. I'll be honest, they don't really taste like a Rice Krispie treat. At least that's not the flavor I get. They're actually white chocolate. They made, I don't know, have they ever done white chocolate M&Ms before? It feels like something they would have done at some point, but as far as I can recollect, they have never actually made white chocolate M&Ms. But I'm sure they have in the past. But these are, like, hey, if you like white chocolate M&Ms, you're probably gonna like this. I know, according to Andrew Patton, white chocolate is for rich assholes. At least, I think I remember him saying that at some point. God, that must have been 5 years ago now. Holy shit. But, I don't know why that's the first thing that came to my head. But they made white chocolate M&Ms, and honestly, they're pretty good. Or I bought one package of the Oreos. I bought 2 of these. We've already gone through the first package in like 4 days. We went through all these and we've already opened the other one. Me and my roommates are just guzzling these down. They're good. If you like white chocolate, which I do, to be fair, I mostly think of white chocolate as a baking chocolate. Like, I can't think of like, oh, let me just have, like, I can think of like, oh, let's have like a Hershey's bar. To be fair, I don't really have a Hershey's bar either, but I have in the past. I have in the past been like, oh, hey, here's some Halloween candy. Oh, just a plain Hershey's bar? Yeah, just plain chocolate? That's good. I cannot think of a moment where I was like, oh, let's just have some white chocolate. Like, nobody really fucking does that. So, because I mostly think of it in, like, cookies. Or I guess also dipped strawberries for some reason. But mostly cookies. So, white chocolate macadamia nuts, a pretty decent cookie. And yeah, white chocolate M&Ms, pretty decent M&M. Honestly, if these became like not like a permanent stay, but if like every Easter they released white chocolate M&Ms, I wouldn't mind that at all. I don't remember what they normally do for Easter M&Ms. Like, the only is like fucking Reese's peanut butter cups. It's always the egg-shaped ones, or like the Christmas trees, or the pumpkins. And I'm sure M&M's does something similar. But if they were like, yeah, because even though we're post-Easter, these very much feel like an Easter thing. And yeah, it's weird that they were Target exclusive. But they're not bad at all. What was the other food? Oh, I had those popped, Skittles? So, this feels like something we talked about. One of the big trends in candy this year is making, freeze-dried candy. For some reason, freeze-dried candy is all the rage this year. Everybody wants to make freeze-dried candy. And one of the first ones that I've seen a lot of like people like testing this, but the first one I've seen that's actually made it to market is Skittles. Specifically plain old Skittles and sour Skittles. And when I was at Target, I saw them on the shelves and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's try it. It might be good. Because I never really freeze-dried food before. Like, that's, I've got a, well, okay, my parents have a dehydrator that they use to make jerky. But, I've never really freeze-dried stuff. But for some reason, that's all the rage. Freeze-dried marshmallows, tons of freeze-dried candies. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's give it a try. They're okay. I think I like, the normal Skittles are fine. They've got crunch to them, but they still definitely taste like a Skittle. I got some that were like less freeze-dried than others, and you can still kind of taste some of the softness in them. They're okay. The sour ones, on the other hand, they're a little smaller, which I found interesting. Like, they used like a smaller size of Skittle, or they just didn't get as big in the freeze dryer. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. But I think I like the sour ones better, but they definitely have that like sour, like, oh, you can feel like the pucker. They're definitely not like the most sour thing in the world or anything. But for me anyways, getting a few of them, it's like, ooh, that stings. But I think I like, but because of that punch, I think that makes the sour ones stand out a little bit more. So I did like the sour ones more, but either way, I don't think I'll get them again. Same thing with like I know we've talked about Skittles gummies in the past. I fucking hate the Skittles gummies. The Skittles gummies suck. Yeah, just straight up. So the last thing I have, which is a drink. Tropicana? I think it's Tropicana. Did a spicy lemonade. So it is a lemonade with... Let me see if I can find an official description. I bought all this shit at Target, by the way. Literally everything we've talked. I did a run to Target and I bought all this. It is... Yeah, it's Tropicana Spicy. Spicy Classic Lemonade. There's the label info. It's got a chili lime flavor. I don't know. I'm looking for a description. I don't really see anything. It's just spicy lemonade, sweet and spicy, made with real lemons and cane sugar. So it's a spicy lemonade. Okay, now I know that sounds weird, but like that could be good. You know, sweet and spicy. That in a weird way, I could see the potential there. In actuality, drinking it, you drink it, and when it hits your tongue, it's like, okay, you know, that's lemonade. I taste it. And then when it hits the back of your throat, that's where I taste the spice. I taste the spice almost exclusively in the back of my throat. And it's kind of like a, ooh. Like, it's not the worst thing I've ever tried. Like, I'm definitely, luckily this isn't like a 12 pack of sodas. Like, I will definitely finish this. But it's one of those things where it's like, ew. Like, this could be better. It might mix with stuff, but because it's new and limited time, I don't know what the fuck you'd mix this with. What do you mix with a spicy lemonade? I have no idea. I'm sure there's something you could mix it with that would taste good, but having it on its own, like, it's not the worst thing I've ever had. I have definitely had worse lemonades. But I wasn't exactly blown away by it. I definitely wouldn't recommend it. Of all the things I just said, the only one I'd actually probably recommend is those M&Ms. The, crispy marshmallow M&Ms are probably the only thing I'd say, like, yeah, you know, if you're at Target, you might as well pick up a bag. Oreos, whatever. Freeze-dried Skittles popped, whatever. Spicy lemonade, probably not. But no, I'd recommend the M&Ms. Those are good. So we only got one. So we got the shiny Swablues. We got the shiny Growlithes. Now all we need is 2 shiny Wiglets. Everything this week is in 2s. Well, okay, the Poliwhirls weren't, but those were from last time. All right, most shiny raids, we're always trying to get 3 of everything. We need 2s. It's all 2s this week. I think the theme is gold. The Growlithes are a golden yellow. The Swablues are a golden yellow. It's not like actual gold. But I know Wiglet's gold. I know Wugtrio's blue. We saw the card earlier. I have the card in pocket. I do like Wiglet. I like Wiglet, and I'm glad they didn't call it Wigtrio. I'm glad they called it Wugtrio. Wugtrio's a better name. We can raid these guys. We can what's this called? Active battle. I don't remember what this is called. We can do that on these guys, right? Okay, good. We can. It was maybe we just have to stay our distance. No, Wiglet and Wugtrio falls into the category of Pokemon I like, but will never use because they're not good. The only other example I can think of off the top of my head is Galarian Stunfisk. I love Galarian Stunfisk's bear trap design. I think making Stunfisk into a bear trap was a fantastic idea, but its moveset and its stats fucking suck, and I will never use it. It really needed an evolution. If Galarian Stunfisk had gotten like an evolution that turned it into like an even bigger bear trap, kind of like what they did with Quillfish and Overquill, we would not be having this conversation. But because they didn't, it just kind of sucks. And same thing with Wiglet and Wugtrio. I've used Dugtrio before. Dugtrio, I think I used them in Pikachu. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Good team member. All around solid team member. Nothing amazing, nothing terrible. They did their job fine. But Wugtrio just ain't it. Not amazing stats. Not great moveset. I don't think their ability is anything that special either. Even though I do like them, and I do like the shiny because it's blue. It's a good blue shiny. It's a nice shade of blue. I just no, I won't use it. Nope, I'll never use World Trio. At least I don't plan to. I don't know. I've used some weird Pokemon over the years. Like I was thinking back to my Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl team, or Brilliant Diamond specifically, where my 6 team members were Torterra as my starter. I picked up Lopunny. I picked up Pachirisu. Picked up Skuntank, Bronzong. Yeah, Bronzong. And Rampardos. Those were my 6 team members. I did not notice it at the time. But when I got to the Elite Four, I realized 4 of those 6 team members get one-shot killed by Earthquake. Skuntank, weak to ground. Bronzong, weak to ground. Rampardos, weak to ground. Pachirisu's an electric type. It's weak to ground. The Elite Four was fucking brutal. Because up until that point, I hadn't really come across that many ground types. I know Sinnoh doesn't have that many fire types. It doesn't have that many ground types until you get to the Elite Four. And then the Elite Four is fucking chock full of them. So I got team wiped like 6 times. Because the only ones who could actually tank a hit were Torterra and Lopunny. And while Lopunny had some good defenses, it's not actually that strong. And Torterra has other issues. Yeah, no, that, and you know, it's crazy, because, like, up until that point, that team was amazing. Like, oh, I know, like, the only reason I use Pachirisu is because it's a world champion, you know, as, like, kind of like as a joke, because it's not actually, like, that good. Perfectly good team member. It did great in the game. Until I got to that point. When I got to the Elite Four, it all kind of fell apart. I still have footage of that somewhere, so I don't know if I ever... I think we watched it on stream once, but it was going there we go. It was going perfectly fine until we got there. But I watched some video on YouTube talking about something, or it might have been on TikTok. It was probably on TikTok. And it somehow got me thinking about my Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl team. And I was like, oh yeah, that was my problem with that team. Was it the guy who rates every Pokemon? It might have been the guy. There's a guy on TikTok who's rating every Pokemon. There are 2 of them. There's TB Skyen, and there's another guy. And who does, like, specifically looks at their battle prowess, their availability, their concept, and I can't remember what the 4th category is. And I think he did a video on, I want to say Lopunny. And I watched that. And that got me thinking about it. Yep, that was it. I do not remember that guy's name. Fuck, what was that guy's name? Give me a second, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. The guy's name is Red Beard Guy. Yeah. Judging Pokemon on battle prowess, availability, concept, and design. Yeah. It's a real... He's been doing every generation. He more or less posts a video every day. And yeah, it's a real interesting series. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, that's Pokemon. Let's talk Mario Maker. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this in the past. I don't know. I've done like 200 episodes of this show. I have no idea what I haven't talked about. But at some point, so I have roommates, and they have moved out. Right? Some of them have moved out over the years. And when one of my roommates moved out, he took some of my Switch games with him. Not on purpose. It wasn't like a malicious thing like, oh, I'm going to steal your Switch games. it was just like, oh, those were the games I had lent them. And so when he put his Switch in a box, he just put all his games, not realizing he had some of mine in there. Specifically, my copy of Mario Maker 2 and my copy of Super Mario 3D All-Stars. And a few other things. What else did he have? No, he gave me his copy of Animal Crossing because he thought it was mine. It wasn't. But, like, he was telling me, like, oh, he doesn't really play Switch anymore. So, whatever. But, okay, long story short. So, he took my copy of Mario Maker, my copy of 3D All-Stars. Which, honestly, the Mario Maker one, I was like, it kind of sucks. The 3D All-Stars one sucks, though. Because to buy another copy of that game, because Nintendo doesn't sell it anymore, it's $120. That game has doubled in price because Nintendo no longer sells it. So that was one of those things where I was like, that sucks, man. Especially because I never played Sunshine on that collection. But, okay, I've seen him a few times since then. And every time I see him, I kind of joke like, oh, bring me my Switch games. And, you know, it's been a running joke for a long time now. I don't know if... I hope he's taking it as a joke. I don't know if he actually is, but I hope he is. But, you know, I've said it before. And I saw him last week. And sure enough, he brought me my Switch games. He brought me Mario Maker, he brought me 3D All-Stars, and he gave me his copy of Animal Crossing. Which, yeah. Actually, oh, yeah. So, I now have Mario Maker, I have 3D All-Stars, and because I had really, because the whole I saw him like a week or two ago, and I made the joke to him, because I kind of wanted to play Mario Maker again. I don't remember what it was that made me want to play Mario. Maybe it's all the Switch 2 stuff with the mouse controls. You know, people with the Switch 2, it has mouse controls, and everyone's like, oh, that'd be perfect for Mario Maker. I really enjoyed Mario Maker 2. Sure, is it the best design level, you know, is the level designer perfect? Not at all. Would mouse controls greatly benefit it? Yes. But I still had a lot of fun with Mario Maker 2. And I'd been wanting to play it again, and I kind of mentioned it to him last time I saw him a few weeks ago. So when I saw him again this week, he actually, he brought my copy of Mario Maker. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to play some Mario Maker again. And so later that day after I saw him, I just sat down and I played Mario Maker for like 4 hours. And I had so much fun. I'm so grateful he brought them back. Like, I really am. Like, we could have kept this joke going forever. Again, it's a joke on my end. I hope he's not taking it as seriously. But, yeah, we could have kept this going forever. But I'm so glad he brought me back. I'm so thankful for that. Because I had so much fun. Just sitting down. I played some of the old levels I had designed. They weren't all... Like, there were some good ideas in there. I did a level that was fire and ice themed. So, you know, it was I made the same level. I copied it over. One world was an ice world. The other world was a fire world. So, like, you'd come to, like, a moat, and it'd be like a lava lake in the fire world. You go through the pipe to the ice world, and now that lake's frozen over. So it was shit like that. Admittedly, there was some bullshit in there. Like, there's in the normal world, you have to fight, like, a Magikoopa, and then you go to the ice world, and it's a giant Magikoopa. And, like, I think I put like, a spike guy on its head, so you can't jump on it to kill it. And I don't know why I did that. There are power-ups in the level, but they're all hidden. And that's just, like, bad level design. Like, they should have all just been obvious. But I still think there also are some bullshit in there. But overall, I do think it's a good idea. Because, like, oh, you're in the ice world, and there's an avalanche that's blocked the path, so you gotta go to the fire world to get past it. Like, there are some good ideas. I'm even though that level is horrendously flawed, I'm still proud of that one. There's an operation level I made, where, you know, operation, you have to, like, mind the gap. If you get too close to the walls, right, it, like, buzzes. The whole idea is you have to take a P-switch and climb up the walls with, like, and there's, like, bumpers coming at you. There's, spike saws. But if you get too close to the walls, it sets off a P-switch and you instantly die. And, like, all the blocks, since they're all coin blocks, they all turn to coins and you drop through. I was like, that's good. That was a good idea for a level. It's not that hard, but I was like, that's a good idea. There's an ice climb. There's one where it's like you got to climb the ice tower, and it's like it would have been like interesting to like have these like rising ice platforms, and you kind of got to jump between them and dodge fireballs. But because of how it's designed, if you pick the right block to stand on, you can make it through the entire level with no problem. So it's actually like a super simple level if you know what you're doing, or you know, through enough trial and error. There's I made like 3 shooting gallery levels that I like because they all evolve the concept. Like the first one is just, hey, it's typical shooting gallery. Take the what's it called? Not the bomb flower. The super ball flower. I can't remember what it's called. You know, you're shooting super balls, which are their official names. And it's like target range. First one's simple target range. You got a platform you can stand on because you got to get the right angle. The second one, I think did the enemies move in the second one? Maybe it's the third. As time gets on, the concepts get more complex. Like they introduce moving targets. Hey, one of them, the walls start moving. Right? They get more complicated as you go into it. And I'm like, no, these are good levels. This is some good level design. Even though they're not perfect, if you don't know the right spot to stand on, there's some bullshit in there. But I do overall like those ones. But the the last update they did on that game, they added the ability to make custom worlds. Something that should have been, I feel like Mario Maker 2 would have done better if the customs world thing was there at launch. They really bungled it up. Because Mario Maker 2, if you did not know, Nintendo considers that game a failure. Sure, did it sell like 8 million copies? Yes. Nintendo expected it to sell over like 12 million. Nintendo expected that game to do way better than it actually did, and internally Nintendo considers that a failure. At least according to like Emron Khan or someone. I want to say it was Emron Khan. And so like they had this idea where like instead of just creating your custom levels, you can create your own custom worlds, you can make a world map. It was a really cool idea. And some, like, Ross obviously has done great things with that. At least they did at the time. Great idea. It should have been there at launch. Honestly, getting that in the final update, it kind of sucked. And, like, there's all this alleged cut content. They were going to do other themes and whatnot that just didn't make it. Because, again, Nintendo considers the game a failure. But I liked it. So I made a custom world that was, like, Mecha Koopa Assault. There's a Mecha Koopa enemy. There's a normal version. There's a version that shoots missiles and a version that shoots lasers. So I made 3 worlds, each around one of those different ones. The first world's a normal one. Second world shoots missiles. Third one shoots lasers. And then there's a final world there's a final level that has all 3 of them come at you. And you have to do a boss fight. And so I played through my own custom world. I'm still proud of those. I do still really like those. I like how they kind of build off each other. Like so in the rocket one, you get introduced to the fact that the rockets can be used to break blocks, and then that becomes a stage hazard in every one. Oh, but they can't break ice except for, you know, unless they're big. Like there's all these certain conditions that you have to like keep in mind. And then in the final stage, it all kind of builds up to itself, where you have to run away from a Mecha Koopa that shoots rockets and fires lasers at you. But you need it to, like, break a laser. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I really do like, even though the boss fight, you have to fight a boss fight, but there's, like, you gotta, like, chuck up Mecha Koopas at Bowser. It's a fucking bitch. If you don't kill all the other enemies, there's so much going on. Did I make it too hard? Maybe. But I beat it eventually, and yeah, I'm still proud of that. So those were my own levels that I remember fondly. But I also went online. I went online and just played a bunch of random levels. They're not all perfect, you know, just hitting random. I did normal, or I think it's called normal. I just did random levels, and yeah, they're not all perfect. But I had a decent time. Like, honestly, in the modern day, the only Mario Maker I can think of is like Doug. Him doing like, chat versus an AI bot who can do better at Mario Maker. And like, that stuff's fun. Where did that come from? But no, I had a good time playing Mario Maker. Genuinely, that was fun. Glad I did it. And I do want to play 3D All-Stars, specifically Sunshine. I have only ever played Sunshine once, like 15 years ago. And I kind of want to play Sunshine. I know Sunshine isn't a perfect game by any means. And I know it's got problems, and I know there's no accounting for taste. But I want to give it another try. I do. Because I've replayed Super Mario 64 multiple times. I've replayed Galaxy multiple times. They didn't put Galaxy 2 in the collection for some fucking reason. And sure, I know the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have Sunshine at some point. But having it in the 3D All-Stars collection, like, yeah, I do want that. I don't know, I'm thinking about using it as our background game. Because here's, I mentioned this before. Once the Switch 2 launches in, like 33 days, Mario Kart becomes the background game. I hope y'all do realize that once the Switch 2 comes out, it's just kind of like how Splatoon was the background game for like a year, where that was it, that was all we ever did. I feel like Mario Kart's gonna become the background game. That's kind of all we do until it happens. Which, to be fair, I mean, it's been Pokemon for, the past month? We did take a small Splatoon break. But yeah, I feel like Mario Kart becomes the background game until Splatoon 4 comes out, which I do think that is going to happen. I do think there's a decent chance that's next year. So either that or it's going to be Animal Crossing. And if Animal Crossing becomes the background game, so be it. I wouldn't mind that either. Yeah. Instead of can we play Animal Crossing every day for a year? Can we play Animal Crossing once a week for a year? I could make that work. I could do that. Yeah, we'll see. And that's all the videos game I played. Oh. My mother's been playing Splatoon 3. She started Side Order. She did the tutorial. She did the first 10 level tutorial. She did not get in Splatoon in the Splatoon 3 campaign. You do the tutorial, and it's like, hey, surprise, surprise. That's actually just you do the first 4 levels, and it's like, oh, that's just the tutorial. And this one, she knew it was coming. Around floor 6, she was like, this is just the tutorial, isn't it? Yeah, she saw that one coming by a mile away. I don't know if she's done her first run or not. I was there because she beat the boss. She beat Mr. Grizz. It took her a few tries. Specifically, when you're riding on Octavio's ship, there's a point where you have to fight 3 Stampers, and she was really struggling with that. Other than that, Mr. Grizz wasn't that much of an issue. Sure, when you're actually on the rocket and it's rotating, the third phase took her a few tries. And the second phase took her a few tries as well. But once she... No, it was mostly the third phase. But once she beat it, the actual ending sequence only at most took her 5 tries. And she booted up Side Order, she did the tutorial, and I haven't spoken to her since then. Because that was on, Saturday? I don't know, I'll see her again on Sunday, so whatever. I've been busy, she's been busy, There's not always time for videos game. Yeah, that's all I played. Let's talk about Game Changer. So Game Changer is still great. They're doing this current season. And the gimmick of this episode was the Youlympics. Basically, they were doing a bunch of physical challenges. Or, not always physical challenges. It was just a bunch of weird challenges. Like, who can jump the highest? Who can stick the most clothespins to their body? Which, the clothespin one drove me crazy because they have fingers. I understand, like, oh, if you're doing them on both hands, you know, you can't do that. But just do one hand. You can probably do, what, like 12, 15 clothespins on just one hand alone. And yet Katie was the only one who actually did her on her hands. So that one drove me crazy. There was a video game challenge. There was who can eat the most Parmesan cheese, which was fun. Especially because Katie doesn't like cheese. Yeah, it was interesting to learn. Right, you obviously, they've got Brennan. Brennan's competitive. You've got Iffy, who's the athlete. But it was fun to learn that Katie, who is usually chaos, is the second most competitive person in the company. That was good. Oh god, the crab walk one, where Katie's like, blur my feet, if he's like, make my feet bigger. That was so fucking funny. But so they do all these challenges, but they did all the challenges like 4 days ago, and now they're brought back, and they have to do them again. So they have to, you know, it's the Youlympics. You're competing against yourself. Can you best yourself? I love that they got two commentators. The two commentators who's Jordan and... God, I should know their name. They did the Green Book song that I quote all the time for some fucking reason. I can't remember. They're both great. You know, it's nice that it's not just Sam, that they got like two Olympic-style commentators to come in. That was a lot of fun. That really added to the episode. But yeah, so I was watching the episode, and like halfway through, and I'm like, this isn't the end. You know, it's game changer. There's got to be a loop-de-loop. I bet once they get to the last challenge, they're then going to have to beat themselves again. You know, kind of like how Bingo was 3-layered, where, you know, you have the bottom layer, the original run, then you have the second layer, and then you have the third layer with the PA. I was like, there's going to be a third layer here, where after they finish it, they're going to immediately have to go again and one-up themselves. I saw that coming, and I'd be amazed if they didn't see it coming either. Like, if Brennan didn't realize there was going to be a third round, I'd be amazed. But that was, you know, seeing the third round, that was good. I'm so glad that so many of them beat their times. I was really hopeful that they were going to beat their times every time. I think the only one who didn't was Katie. I want to say, was it the height one? She screws up early on. I think it's the height one. But other than that, they all did really good. It's real, you know, inspirational. They're obviously using this as like a follow-up to second place. Like, the episode even ends with like a podium and Brennan getting the first, second, and third place medal, and they make a callback to second place. Kind of like how the previous one made a callback to Sam Says 3. No, that's good. It's a good way to call back to a previous episode without just doing second place V2. You know, without just doing third place, which they could have done. So no, I do like that change. The cat, oh my god, the stuffing the sandwiches in their pants to, you know, attract the cat. That was a lot of fun, and how Iffy's just good at it. There were a bunch of other moments. The cheese, I was like, oh come on, Katie, you gotta beat your cheese record. I know you don't like it, but I was really rooting for Katie there at the end. Mainly because it was clear she wasn't going to win. But, you know, I like an underdog. Yeah, overall, Youlympics was great. It was, again, it's no 1 year later, but it's still a good concept with a good premise. Man, they really fucking set the bar high. That first episode, they set the bar high. And I don't think they have to surpass it. They just have to keep making good episodes, and so far they're making good episodes. I enjoyed Youlympics. I think it was a good cast selection, a fun idea that, you know, they really did a lot with. So yeah. We've almost been going for 3 hours. I know we spent a lot. We went on a whole side quest with Pokemon that took us like an extra like 20 minutes, but. Yeah. Alright, let's talk Thunderbolts. So this is the newest Marvel movie that came out today. So I don't want to... We'll do spoilers, but I don't want to do too many spoilers. I will be honest, don't watch the trailers for this movie. I'm not going to say this is like Falcon and Winter Soldier. If you watch Captain America 4, where like the fact that the trailers gave away Red Hulk, they shouldn't have done that. I feel like that, like knowing Red Hulk was there, this has always been Marvel's problems, is that the trailer gives away too much. And I kind of like, I feel like the less you know about these movies, the better. The less I had known about this movie, I would think the better. Because there were certain scenes where it's like, oh, that's a really good, really emotional scene. Too bad it was in the fucking trailer. Oh, I really like that visual. That's a good visual. Oh, it was in the trailer. But my actual thoughts on this movie. I liked it, but I didn't love it. Right now, this is what, the second or third highest rated MCU movie of all time, which is crazy. I liked it, but I would definitely not say it's my second or third favorite MCU movie of all time. No, like, no. I not even my favorite. I wouldn't say it's the second or third best. No. I don't even know if it cracks my top 10. Don't get me wrong. I still do like it. I'd say if you've taken a break from Marvel, like, I would say if you have not seen Marvel since, like, Endgame, this is one of the better movies. What I will say is that I feel like this movie is competently put together. One of the things Marvel has kind of struggled with recently is how much they're having to go in, reshoot movies, fix up the script, make changes. The movies aren't that polished, and they're kind of just a bunch of different things connected together. Like, I didn't hate Captain America Brave New World, but that was like, they shot like 4 different movies and then had to like stitch them back together. I enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. That movie's kind of a mess. I liked The Marvels. I did. That movie's also kind of a mess. I did enjoy that though. This movie feels competent. It feels like they came in, they had a vision, and they followed through. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But no, it at least feels solidly put together. I could see some people being like, oh, well, there's pacing issues and whatnot. And yeah, I guess kind of. But I honestly didn't really mind that. Like, because they spend a lot... There's, if you've seen the trailers, they're, like, trapped in an incinerator. They're, like, trapped in an incinerator that's going to, like, burn them up. They spend a while in that facility, like, the first, like, 30 minutes. So I could see people being like, oh, that takes too long. It's probably more than 30 minutes, if I'm being honest. So I could see people complaining about that. But I was like, I didn't mind that. Mainly because I like the characters. Part of the reason this movie works as well as it does is because the movie has heart. I know a lot of people look at modern MCU and it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of heartless cash grabs. Oh, you know, the Thor movies, Thor Ragnarok was so funny. And Thor Love and Thunder isn't funny, and it feels heartless. The Marvels, heartless. Captain America, heartless. They're like missing that charm, missing that love. Still, they can still be enjoyable. I still enjoy those movies, but they have problems. This movie's got heart. Oh, the way I would describe it is, you know how people are like, Captain America Civil War is just a Captain America movie pretending to be an Avengers movie. This movie's kind of the opposite. This is a Thunderbolts movie pretending to be a Black Widow movie. Or an Elena movie. I mean, she's the next Black Widow. I feel like fine calling it a Black Widow movie. Because she's the main... Right? And like kind of how Captain America was the main character of Civil War. Because it's his movie. Elena is the main character of the Thunderbolts. It's her movie. Everything that happens in the movie is because of her or a direct result of her. Yes, it's nothing other than that. I wouldn't. I mean, yes, there's a team up in it like Civil War, but I wouldn't really say it's Civil War. I mean, there's not too much else in common with that. But yeah, Elena is great. I've gone on record before saying I like Ghost. Ava, I know the actress's name's Hannah something. I like Ghost. I really do think she's one of the more sympathetic Marvel villains. Because most Marvel villains, you know, they're copies of the heroes who just die. Right? Obadiah Stane, Abomination. Okay, Abomination didn't die, but you get my Malachite from... Or Caecilius from Doctor Strange. Malachite's the Dark Elf who also dies. But right, Malachite from Doctor Strange, or Caecilius from Doctor Strange. Right, most Marvel villains are just evil versions of the hero. Including Darren in Ant-Man. Ghost isn't that. Ghost is actually like a weirdly sympathetic character in the second Ant-Man. Like, part of the reason I think the second Ant-Man movie works as well as it does, which I know people disagree with me on. I really like the second Ant-Man, and I don't think it gets enough credit. I like it because it's a smaller movie. It's the entire plot. It's not an end of the world thing. It's a personal struggle. It's about Hope trying to save her mom. / you know, Scott trying to save his wife. That's it. It's a smaller scale movie. You know, if they don't save her, the world doesn't end. And that same goes for Ghost, right? She needs the portal because if she doesn't, she's going to die. Her motivation, yeah, sure, it's selfish, but she's not trying to take over the world, right? She genuinely, right, she cares about her life. You have Bill Foster who cares about her. It's a very sympathetic story with I think, a likable villain. And I'm glad we see her again. Unlike Taskmaster, which, spoiler alert, Taskmaster gets killed by Ava like 15 minutes into the movie. And nobody fucking cares because nobody liked this version of Taskmaster. Yeah, no, I like Ava, I like Ghost. Walker is fine. Walker is fine in this movie. He's not, like, I honestly think they made Falcon, comic book Walker I don't give a shit about. Falcon and Winter Soldier Walker, I actually kind of, you know, I found him as an interesting character. And this is kind of, you know, trying to build off that. We see how he's got new, different struggles. So I think that works. Red Guardian, you know, he's here to support his daughter. And then Bucky, I would say, you know, he's getting the team together. It's not exactly that, because that's not exactly what he wants. But, you know, he's here as well. He's helping out the team. And finally, you have Bob, who is the Sentry / the Void. I wish they had kept the Void reveal from the trailers. There is a reveal that I am glad was not in the trailers relating to him. But no, I wish the actual Void stuff, like they could have hinted at it. I'm fine with that. But like some of the stuff they showed, like, no, I kind of wish you had kept that more closer to the chest. Specifically when he turns people to shadows. I saw some people, because like the director gave an interview where they talked about how they were directly inspired by the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And like, obviously, just look at it. It's very obviously inspired by that. But it is such a striking visual. And I saw some people complain like, oh, it's insensitive. I don't think it is. I think it is executed very well. Seeing people just get turned into shadow, again, it's in the trailers, is real. It works so well in the film. Everything with the Void is so good. Just like the design-wise. The fact that he's just a shadow with 2 dots for eyes, so effective. It works so well. But yeah, I do like this movie. Again, I don't want to get in. Basically, this is all I'm going to say. Right? I liked it. It's got some issues. I wish there are certain things I wanted to see that they just don't show. Like, a spoiler alert, there's some stuff with like dreams that I would have liked to have seen. There are certain like character dynamics that I wish we had spent some more time with. You know, I wish we had gotten to see, because like some of these characters are less important than others. And again, it's an Elena movie. She's the main character. But overall, I did like the Thunderbolts. I'd probably say like, I don't know, the more I talk about it, the higher I feel like I'm going to give it. I'm going to say an 8 out of 10. I don't know, I might be seeing this one again. I'll be honest. I'll be honest, it's not a very funny movie. I know, like, people are sick of MCU humor. I don't think this is a funny, like, yeah, do they play, Red Guardian as comic relief? Yes, but I don't think he's that funny. And overall, the tone of them, if you are a fan of the Sentry, if you know the Sentry from the comics and know his backstory, they do the Sentry justice. They get to, sure, they don't have the mind erase, the memory wipe. If you know that from the comics, they don't do that bit, mostly. But everything else that represents the Sentry, they do that. I think this is a really good depiction of the Sentry. If you know nothing about the Sentry, yeah, no. I definitely recommend the comics. Specifically his original Marvel Knights miniseries. It's 5 issues. It's really good. It tells, again, the story's a little different, but it's really effective at telling the story of the Sentry. I think it's Marvel Knights 2000 Sentry, 5 issues. I recommend it. And yeah, I think this movie does a good job at capturing the character. Overall, I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I don't think it's top. I don't know if it makes my top 10. I don't think it's that good. But it's better than a lot of recent things. It's more structurally put together than more recent MCU movies. But there's a part of me that probably will rewatch it. You know, because I'm still kind of, even though the MCU is bad, I still kind of do like these movies. But, like, it's because of its tone, I don't know if I want to. Because, like, at least with some of the jokier stuff, it's like, okay, well, you at least got the jokes and whatnot. You know, you can have fun with it here or there. This is not exactly a fun movie. Which is good. If you know anything about the Sentry, it not being a fun movie is a good thing. But no, I liked it. I just didn't love it. Yeah, let's say 8 out of 10. That might be low. Maybe next week I'll come back and I'll change it to a 9. When we actually, maybe we'll talk about spoilers next week, maybe not. The last thing I will say, the movie has the asterisk. Thunderbolts asterisk. Spoiler alert if you care. It is exactly what you think it is. That's all I'll say. The asterisk is exactly what I thought it did. I didn't second guess it for a fucking second. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. Like, no shit. That's why there's an asterisk. So there's our shiny hunt. Honestly, we got all these guys. We got all Probably Whirls. I'd say that worked out pretty well. Quick outro. Oops. We'll be back next week. Maybe Mario Maker, or maybe Mario Kart, maybe Sunshine. I don't know. We've got, like, again, 30 days, like 4 episodes until the Switch 2. The Switch 2 will be here like that, but we do kind of have to kill some time until then. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I don't know. I don't really have anything else planned. If we do Mario Sunshine, I could. I don't know. I'm not doing the pachinko level. I promise you that. But, you know, it might be fun. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.